Do you feel like the net swing's getting close though?
I do. Yeah, I know we're like 90%. We have to clean up all the problems that we've had as we run into them, as opposed to letting them build it.
I don't know.
We got that established. Yes, exactly. So I have new hires and for customer service. Yeah.
I haven't been in since you're spending over a week.
We got actually people over there now. Yeah, so hopefully, but then I was saying that he's the like first year and all this wrapped up.
Yeah.
To squash any issues, or just come back with me, but not with the same issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to offer for him right now. So
Yes.
yeah. But we'll get there.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool.
Yes. Well,
Every time I go down there, I get go there, get a fresh sandwich, and I get the go for custody stuff. Yeah. So I have 26 locations. One of them's in Arcadia. So my business partner, Gary and Andrew, were the late when they which was the same shit. They're
Testing.
Testing. Testing. Testing. That's it. Let's do it. Yeah. That's the thing makes anyways. But should last. Okay. Yeah. I probably with a small group we probably won't go much longer than that, if at all. Yeah. So I hear some noise in there. Is there any way yeah. Is there any way, it's a little static. Love it. Okay. Beautiful. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I might refer back to it. Yeah. I wonder if oh, it's not. Got it. It's a little loose. We'll try it. Okay. If not, that's it. We'll try it. We'll try it. Yep. Yep. Mic check. You can get it. Mic check. How you doing, sir? Good, good. I introduced myself yet? I did. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you just came in. I was. Uh,
Timmy.
Grab yourself a seat.
Unless you know somebody on the inside. It's the problem.
Okay. Sounds good. Interesting technology. Well, thanks a lot for everybody that could make it. Appreciate you taking your time out of the day to come out and,
Yeah.
I don't know, okay, fan. Yeah. Hope it doesn't get too hot in here, but anyway. Air conditioning isn't working properly in here, so trying to deal with not being too warm. So I guess if it gets too hot, we can open the door and put the fan back on. But anyway, thanks a lot for all you guys out there on the floor doing the work, making the sales. It's what makes the whole company spin. So that means a lot to us. We appreciate that. As you notice, we've got, just for a couple of housekeeping rules, this exit here gets into, and to the left down the hallway is where the restrooms are. And I'll get started here a little bit, and then I'll introduce Rob Hall, and we will get into the session. So looking forward to that. I'll give a little bit of a state of the company address. I won't make as long as the State of the Union address, but anyway. Several different things that we've been trying to get together the past year is having a set of core values that we hold dear in the company. And that includes you all. And so when we evaluate this, we also look at the whole company and see how everybody measures up to these core values. And so when we were finding these core values, we thought about you guys. You are in the company as well. So I'm going to look. If you look at the in the dealer manual, so there's a dealer manual here for each of you to take home. And if you don't have enough of them, we will print more copies and bring them to you. But for the first core value that we came up with is humble. Now, often we think of humble as being quiet in the background. This is not what we're trying to say here. It means we value collaboration, contribution from others, foster collaboration and mutual respect, emphasize listening and learning and growing together. This does not mean we think less of ourselves, but we think of ourselves less. And it also means we also are not afraid to admit our limitations, thus helping us be honest with others around us. If we do that, people will appreciate our honesty if we have limitations. The next core value is open-minded. It means that we adapt and embrace new ideas, welcome diverse perspectives, and challenge assumptions. We don't just make assumptions without challenging them. Foster innovation and creativity, and we're willing to change when we're presented with better information. That will keep us fluid and open and moving forward. Next thing is, gets it done. We commit to execution and follow through, hold ourselves accountable to deliver results. We're dedicated to achieving objectives and making things happen. Whether that's making the sale, whether that's helping the customer, whatever is needed to do. And then the next point there says cows don't give milk. Who here thinks that cows give milk? We have to go get it. They don't give it. We have to go get it. You still have to wake up every morning at 4 o'clock to go milk them. So we have to go get it. That's something that stood out to me. We have to go get we have to go get what we're wanting to get. We can't just sit back and let things happen. No excuses. We take ownership of actions and outcomes. That could be, another way to call that is customers always right. Refuse to hide behind excuses, and we focus on finding solutions. And tenacious, that's a little bit of a word that some people might have to use the dictionary to find. I actually did, but I knew what it meant, but I actually had to look at the dictionary to actually get the true essence of it. But we show persistence and determination. We push through adversity and never give up. We commit to goals and strive for excellence even when challenged. And one thing I want to bring out about goals, Whitney has told me that to never give her another goal for sales because that's bad luck.
Yeah.
So,
Never again.
anyway, I send out the goals. It goes to, sometimes I send out a sales goal number. And I have always thought that goals are important. Who here thinks that goals are important? Yeah. I think we all realize that goals are important, but one point I'd like to make here is that goals are not always as important as what we think they are. We need to know where we're wanting to go. That's the point of a goal. When the 49ers went up against the Chiefs this past Super Bowl, who thinks they had a goal to win the Super Bowl? Both of the teams. Still didn't make a difference for the 49ers, right? They lost. But several small incremental things that they put into place leading up to that win is what got the Chiefs the game. Didn't matter if they had the same goal. There was one thing. Or, you know, some people that are 49ers fans are probably going to say Taylor Swift stole the whole thing. But anyway. So just to, so I've been reading the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. I don't know if you've ever read that book, but in there's a story about the British cycling teams and their transformation that they made back in 2003. In 2003, Dave Brailsford became their performance director. When Brailsford took over, British cycling was in a slump, with only one gold medal in 76 years at the Olympics and no success in the Tour de France. In fact, some cycling companies and manufacturers had actually refused to sell products to the British team because it made their product look bad. They were so terrible. Brailsford introduced the concept of marginal gains, focusing on making small incremental improvements in every aspect of the team's performance. His idea was to improve everything related to cycling by just 1%, believing that all these small changes would add up to significant improvement overall. These marginal gains included areas like tweaking the seat for better comfort, designing more aerodynamic clothing, even went as far as to paint the interior of their transport truck white to where they have brighter lights inside where they could look at the dust on their equipment to make sure they didn't have too much dust on the gears. And they got professional health care in to identify early signs of sickness to get the cyclists in the best condition. What ended up happening, these tiny improvements compounded over time, leading to remarkable results. In the 2008 Olympics, the British cycling team won 7 out of the 10 gold medals. They repeated this level of dominance in the 2012 Olympics in London. In 2012, Bradley Wiggins became the first British cyclist to win the Tour de France, followed by other British riders like Chris Froome, who went on to win multiple titles. They ended up, they set world records and team records for a 10-year period there that nobody had ever reached before, only by making marginal gains of 1%. The power of 1%. And so that is partly what I would like to, that I think Rob Ball will also teach today, is the success of a small 1%. And not necessarily, we need to have goals, but 1% is the most important.
Awesome. All right, well, I am so happy to be here with you guys today. My name is Rob Ball, and I want to start this thing out. Uh-oh. Technical difficulties. Yeah, we got it. I have a confession to make. First things first, everybody that has ever sold a shed before, please raise your hand. Is that everybody? Raise them high. Let's get a high up in here, okay? Not in that kind of way, but. All right, fantastic. Here's my confession. I've never sold a shed before. As a matter of fact, I absolutely know nothing about selling sheds. I'm not here to teach you guys how to sell sheds. As a matter of fact, we're going to do something quite different. I'm here to go over a strategy session. It's not a presentation. I'm probably going to do maybe 30 to 40% worth of the talking. You guys are actually going to be the ones that are going to be doing the majority of the talking. So, this is your time to leave the meeting, okay? And I mean it. If you do not feel comfortable participating, this is your chance to leave. Why are you guys looking at each other? You guys are going to stay, okay? If you don't like participation, you're not going to get your medal. Now, my other caveat is this. Number one, does anybody want to leave? Okay, good, fantastic. You're going to participate. Number two, nothing works 100% of the time. Things outside the box. Now, I, like most of you, am also a businessman. I own 26 furniture locations in Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, a training company, a speaking company, and 99% of my time is working in the business, not on the business. And so for the next, let's say 2 hours, I think it's important that we kind of shed the responsibilities of what we should be doing in our stores right now or at our shed lots, and let's just start with a clean slate. Because honestly, how often do you spend time working on your business? Right? Because what happens? I can guarantee you right now, if you're at your shed lot, you're probably going to get a phone call. And there's probably going to be a problem. The delivery driver knocked over a mailbox or ran over little Sally's dog or whatever happens, right? Trust me, I'm in the delivery business too. We all know what can go along with that. But what I really want us to do now is I want us to maybe get rid of some of the jaded things that happens in our business every day, right? All of those problems, shed that skin, and let's think about this business optimistically and kind of figure out what we can do with it. So here's a question for you. This is not my cover. What business are we in? What? Sales. Who else? People business. Who else? Customer service. Who else? We in the shed business? In corporate business? What else? What else? Storage business. Okay, so let me ask you this question. I got a couple names down here. What business is Ozark in? Ozark, portable buildings. Huh?
Portable buildings.
Portable buildings. Okay, what about Martin Portable? Are they in the sales business? Are they in the people business? What about, well, maybe Buckeye? I don't think anybody knows what Buckeye is. Somebody told me to go buy a shed for Buckeye today. Thought that was interesting since nobody knows where they are. Do you know what Buckeye is? Okay, good, fantastic. What makes you so special if they're in the same exact business that you are? So my question to you guys is, does that really sound like a business that you, as a consumer, would want to do business with? Or does that sound like everybody else down the street? And take it one step further, I can't get this thing to work. What business are you really in? And take it one step further than that. What I want to do today is I want to try to define what business we should absolutely be in order to be successful. So here's a question. Do you guys believe that 2025 is going to be better than 2024 in terms of sales? Yes or no?
Yes.
Remember, participation is mandatory. Yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay. I want to change your mindset. I did a webinar today, and I agree with you. I agree with you 1,000%. We're in an election year. It's kind of weird right now. Doesn't matter who wins. Obviously, certainty going into 2025 is going to be a main thing for the consumer. They're probably going to start spending a little bit more money. We do believe it's going to be better, but I want to flip that on its head. What I find is that if your expectation is that you're going to win, although that's a positive mindset, sometimes people rest on their laurels. So I want us to pretend today that 2025 is going to be the year that we go out of business. Does that make sense? And I want us to devise a strategy in order to guarantee success. So we talked about atomic habits just a few minutes ago, and the best segue ever, by the way. I had no idea he was going to talk about that until he did, and talk about just really incremental improvements in order to have macro rewards. And so what I want to do is I want to deconstruct these 4 things. And please take notes. This is your meeting. I have extra copies that you can take home with you. This is being recorded if you want to go back over it. But here's my question. is it possible to increase the number of transactions or customers that reach your store, your lot every single day, every single month, every single year? Yes or no? Fantastic. And is it possible to increase the average sales value when the customer makes a transaction? Yes? Okay, fantastic. Remember, participation is mandatory, right? And then the next one, is it possible to increase the conversion ratio? What do I mean by this? If I have 100 people that shows up to my lot in a month, and I'm selling 20 of them, is it possible to increase it beyond that? Yes or no?
Yes.
Fantastic. And is it possible, well, let me ask you this question. Raise your hand if you're currently focusing on repurchase rate of your customer, or offer a referral program for existing raving fans to send clients to you. Raise your hand if you do that. Fantastic. About 25% or maybe 30% of the room. Great. Is it possible to get more referrals or to concentrate on repurchase just a little bit more than we're currently doing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Beautiful. Okay. So what we're really going to do is we are going to go through and dissolve what I call the tyranny of how. Okay? So what does this mean? I know, as somebody that has battled with weight my entire life, I know exactly how to lose weight, right? But I get caught up in sometimes the tyranny of how, and I also get caught up in actually doing the actions. I need to eat less, and I need to move more. It's a pretty simple equation, right? But if we really start working on the business, we can find out exactly what we should be doing and devise a strategy moving forward to 2025 that we can put forward to our sales reps, to the delivery people, to everybody within the organization that would guarantee success. So, first things first, and this is where the participation really comes in. Here's a hypothetical, and Mark gave me these numbers. So this is, as a whole, the average for Cardinal Buildings LLC, what the shed lots do. What I want you to do, very, very briefly, while I'm speaking, is write down your best guess, the amount of customers that enter into your shed lot every single month. We're going to look at everything on a 30-day calendar month. Fair enough?
In store or all together? Like,
Say it one time, sorry.
in store or like phone call, email, like
Just that reaches the shed lot.
just reach?
Yep, absolutely. That's fantastic. So go ahead and write down your best guess, how many customers enter your shed lot in a 30-day time period. Okay? On an average. The next thing I want us to write down is if you have, to make the math easy, if you have 100 people that enter your shed lot and you sell 20 of them, your closing ratio is what? 20%, right? Okay. So I want you to take your best guess as to what your closing ratio is for your shed lot. Next, I want you to write down, if a client makes a purchase, what is the average transaction value? And then if you are doing a referral program or a repurchase rate, how often you can get a referral to purchase from you? And lastly, what is your average monthly sales? So it should be, I think, 5 items there. Ups, how many people come in. Closing ratio, how many people are buying from you on average as a percent. Average transaction value, repurchase referral, and average monthly sales. Okay. So as a business owner, one thing that I have found, okay, being in the furniture space, is, well, I'll ask you guys this question. Who's the most important person in your business?
Customer.
Who is it?
Customer.
Is there anybody more important than the customer?
No.
Okay, so let's just think about this for a second. Raise your hand if you spend money, even $1 single, on advertising for your shed lot or for your business. Okay. So if you are not currently gauging how many clients are walking onto your shed lot, and listen, this doesn't need to be some kind of fancy traffic count or anything like that. It can be a manual deal, right? You want to start marking down because that's the most important person in your business. And so moving forward, I think a very important piece is to mark down every client that comes into your business and then start categorizing how many clients actually purchase from you as a percent, because we want to increase these different things. Okay, so first question in this strategy session, which I cannot get to work, is going to be a group discussion. Again, I do not have all the answers. Matter of fact, I've never sold a single shed, just like I said before. I've never brought a client to a shed lot. And so I am not an expert in this field, but based upon hands being raised, everybody in this room is an expert. And so what I want to devise, like I said, is a plan to increase each one of these metrics. So, first things first, how can we increase the total amount of opportunities walking through your door each day? As an idea, maybe something that you're not currently doing.
Are you asking us?
What's that?
Are you asking us right now?
Yeah.
One thing that we did was adding all of our inventory on Google.
Adding inventory on Google.
To have like, your full list of inventory on Google.
Okay. Adding inventory on Google.
You're saying the Google business page?
Yes.
Why is that important?
I think probably 60 to 70% of everybody that is looking for a shed in the area is probably using Google.
Okay. Does everybody agree with that? 60, would you say again? Say it
Probably
one
60
time.
to 70%.
Okay.
That certain are probably using Google.
All right, so this is a really good segue. Has anybody here ever deconstructed the customer's journey to find you?
Yes.
You have? All right, let's just do that real quick. You guys are all familiar with the sales funnel, right? What is the first part of the sales funnel for you guys? So I'm a consumer. Let's say I'm at home, right?
Thank you.
Let's just run through just a scenario. This is the way, at least I think, one scenario might be. My wife has a home gym, right, in her garage, and she hates the smell of gas. Well, what do I have in my garage? I have my lawnmower, I have my gas cans, I have my generator, all these different things, right? So if she's starting to complain to me about these different things, where would I start my journey to find you? What's that?
Online.
Online, but where specifically?
Amazon.
You would start on your phone.
Phone?
Yeah.
Okay. Google?
The algorithm. Facebook.
Facebook.
Facebook. Okay. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking.
Marketplace.
Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Facebook page, Marketplace, fantastic. Okay. How else?
Siri, Yelp.
Siri, Yelp.
Okay, I found this.
That's awesome. Siri, find me a shed lot near me. Actually, is anybody got a phone? Let's find out which one comes up first. Okay, what about, okay, so now we know where they're going, right? So I would say that 99% of people are not going to a laptop, right? They're probably going to their phone. Okay, so think about this. Do you think that customers know a lot about your industry or very little?
Very good.
Extremely little, right? And so, like if I wasn't looking at shed lots all the time, and I had no idea up until I went to the Shed Expo conference, I was invited to speak there. I've never owned a shed. I don't know anything about sheds. My buddy was telling me, it's 18 by 20, it's, tongue and word, glued and screwed. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. It was all good stuff and it sounded fantastic, but I didn't realize, as I'm driving to my stores, I passed like 30 shed lots. I had no idea that they even existed. Why? It was never in the marketplace, right? And so, most likely, when I make the decision to buy something, I'm going to start that journey online. What's the next step? And I want to get extremely microscopic. I don't want to miss a step here, right? So we talked about Google. We talked about going on the phone. So we go phone, I pull up, what do I type in?
Shed near me.
Sheds near me? Okay.
Storage.
Okay. Where do you rank when I say sheds near me in your town?
Usually the top.
Usually the top?
Top maybe 1, 2, or at least you don't have to scroll. Yeah.
You don't have to scroll, okay? You sure? You're number one? Okay. So I've heard 3 people say that they feel very, very confident that they're number 1, and then I have a bunch of silence from everybody else, right?
Top 3.
Top 3. Okay. The number one search for, right? The one that's at the top gets 4 times the amount of clicks. You guys know that, right? If you're number 1, you get 4 times. So if you're getting 100 clicks, if you're number 2 or number 3, you're getting 400 at number 1. What determines the number 1 spot?
Sponsored ads or how
Sponsored ads, so that's going to be slightly different, but I think it's a huge piece.
much you're actually involved with Google and how much you're doing this connecting to Google will bring things up and how much.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
it's super hard to hear you. Say it one more time.
The more you do on Google and the more people that post and review and all that stuff, the more you'll rank on the top.
Okay.
The more you're involved.
Okay.
Yes, SEO.
SEO, what does that even mean?
Search engine optimization.
Okay. SEO, search engine optimization, SEM, search engine marketing, right? So search engine marketing is going to be the paid ads, correct?
Yes.
Which is going to automatically put you on the top, which is going to give you top of mind awareness, but not a lot of people click the ads, right?
No.
That's correct.
I skip them.
What's that?
I skip the.
You skip them all the time. It's almost a matter of principle, right? But what that does, the goal here as any business is to do what? It's to be omnipotent, right? Everywhere you turn, there your brand is, right? Like down in Florida is Chick-fil-A, Publix, McDonald's, all those different things, right? Everywhere you turn, there they are. My businesses, every time I sponsor a baseball team, I know that I'm not going to get a single person to buy a stick of furniture from me by sponsoring a baseball team. But when the moms and dads go to the baseball field or the football field or to the choir or whatever it is, they're going to see my logo, and so it's all top of mind awareness. So Google Ads is all about top of mind awareness. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money there. Okay? I love that. So search engine optimization. So what about keywords?
Yes.
Everybody familiar with that?
Yeah.
So when a client calls you, what do they normally ask for?
I need a shed.
What is it?
I need a shed.
I need a shed. What else do they say? They need a building.
Bring your bedroom
Yeah.
in there.
So what I have found in business, if you want to find your keywords, if you want to, what was that?
I need
a
2
repost.
bedrooms.
Oh,
2 bedrooms, yeah.
Somebody got their shed repoed. I need another shed.
Somebody wants a deal.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. You guys repo a lot of sheds?
So,
Not all? Okay. I'm going to repo this too. I like it. Okay, so one thing that I've recognized in all the businesses that I've talked to and I've counseled with before, the best way to find out your keywords, I mean, you can go on Google Trends, you can go to different places, but the best place to go is your sales associates. And just ask them, what are people asking you on the phone? I need a shed, right? So obviously shed, what other keywords should you be looking at?
storage.
Storage,
Cabin.
Rent to own.
RTO. Raise your hand if you're doing RTO on your shed lot. Beautiful, fantastic. Okay. Financing?
Yes.
Okay.
Repo.
Repo,
Tiny home.
tiny home. What else?
Garage.
Garage.
Cheap.
What?
Cheap.
Cheap. I need one of them cheap,
How
cheap.
cheap?
Cheap. Okay.
And how quick?
Quick, fast.
Self-storage.
Self-storage.
Is this good?
Why would you do self-storage? That's interesting.
I get that at least 3 times a week.
Why would you do that?
Because people are often looking for storage buildings, not like off-site storage. They're moving and they need to store their stuff. They don't have their own property. Self-storage, it generates the same for them. So it'll generate the storage units near you. for
Yeah.
your stuff.
So what's funny is this. So when I moved to Florida, I rented self-storage. And I lived in a house that had like 1.5 acres of land. And I had that self-storage building for probably 3.5 years. Finally went there, threw all the junk away, and got rid of the bill. Could have just bought a shit, right? Brilliant. Okay. So that's a disruptor. I really like that. Okay. So let me ask you this question. By show of hands, I may have asked this before, but remind me. Who's paying a lot of attention to these keywords in your business? A few of us. Okay. So let me ask you this question. And I think this gentleman over here, I'm sorry, what was your name?
Mine?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy.
Jimmy, if I was somebody that wasn't concentrating on this, and I had a shed lot, if I wasn't concentrating on this, what do you think this would do for your traffic if I did put some emphasis on this specifically right here?
A huge amount.
A huge amount. So as a percent, what do you think the percent would increase in terms of your overall ups? Overall.
30%.
30%? Okay. So just in the Google side of things, correct? Okay. 30%. Now let me ask you this question. Would you personally guarantee me just 1%? Okay. So here's something that's very important as a business strategist. It's very easy to define what success looks like, but oftentimes people don't ever define what failure looks like. So we can all agree if we invest in this or we go in this direction that our business is not going to go downhill, right? Now, it's possible if we do the wrong things, if we get the wrong review, if we get the wrong experience for our customers, we're certainly not going in that direction, right? But for the most part, we agree that this is going to increase the business by at least 30%, maybe a little bit more, but we will all guarantee our entire lives in business on a 1% increase, right? What else can we do to increase the ups that walk into our doors?
Reviews.
Reviews. All right, tell me about reviews.
Well, I think everybody that searches, I would say it's probably at least 80 to 90% of people look at reviews before they make a purchase online.
Okay, so you said 80 to 90% are looking at reviews. Why do people look at reviews?
For credibility.
For credibility.
Safety,
Safety. Okay, what are the reasons?
good customer service.
Good customer service, absolutely, right?
Reputation.
Reputation. So this goes in line with what customers are really looking for. What are customers looking for more than anything?
Somebody they can trust.
Somebody that they can trust, sure.
Similar interests, somebody that's just like them.
Some commonality, I love that. Absolutely, that all goes in with it. But it doesn't matter what product you're buying.
Value.
Value is a great, I love that. That's fantastic. Value, right? Doesn't matter what you're buying. You could buy a car, you could buy a house, you could buy furniture, you could buy sheds. Clients are looking for one thing and one thing only, and that's certainty. We're going to get into how the sales associate can bring certainty into the mix here in just a little bit. The reason why reviews are so important is because reviews bring certainty to your clients. Because if they see that you have a 1-star review with 900 people that rate you at that, what's their level of certainty that you're going to be able to solve their problem? Very slim to none. But if I find somebody with 6 or 7 or 8,000 reviews, right, and it's a 5-star review or 4.5 stars, what's your level of certainty there? So here's my question, and I've gone through, and I can't say how many people of yours that I went through, but I've gone through a lot of the ones that you supplied me the list of, and I have very limited reviews. So I have some shed lots with 10, with 2, with 1, with 3. I have a couple with a 2-star review. What could we do as a business? Because let me ask you this question. Would you be offended if you saw a 2-star review as your company? With how hard you work, with how hard your people work in your business, you'd be offended, correct? So what could you do to improve the level of reviews for your business? What kind of process could we institute?
Increase it along the entire process of the sale, from the sale to delivery. Have every person ask for the review.
Okay, I love that. Every person asks for a review.
Because oftentimes, we're selling the building, but we're not the one who's delivering the building. So that's their most happy moment right there, is when the building's getting delivered.
So do we all agree with that?
Yes.
So one thing that I always understand and I know is that sales is a transfer of emotion, right? So if I can change the customer's emotional state, chances are I get a good opportunity of selling the customer whatever product I'm peddling, right? And so to your point, in order for me to get the customer to do something for me rather, I need to affect them in the time where they're the most emotional, especially if I'm asking them to do it for free, correct? So do you guys all agree, because I don't know, that the time of delivery is the best time to ask for the review? Okay, which time do you believe?
I think you get it right after you close the sale.
Right after you close the sale?
Just
Okay.
have them fill it out right there. They're feeling really good. They're excited about their purchase. You don't
Okay.
have a driver screwing it up yet.
Sure. I like that. Fair enough. Fair enough. No, trust me, in my business, the best possible time to ask for a review, now delivery is another best possible time. The best possible time to ask for a review is the time that we made the sale, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, your sales associate here, I'm your friend in the furniture business. That's what I tell every client. I'm your friend in the shed business. I'm your friend in the portable business, portable shed business, or portable building business, right? Whatever you want to say. Hey, I just had a quick question for you. We're a small family-owned and operated business that we really work a lot on word of mouth and top-of-mind awareness. And one thing that we ask for a lot of our customers is just a quick 5-second review. As a matter of fact, here's a QR code right here. Do you mind scanning that? If you believe that we gave you a 5-star service, please give me 5-star service. Mention my name if you believe I gave you great service, and just tell everybody about your experience. It'll take you less than 30 seconds. Let me ask you this question. Who's currently doing that today? 1. Okay. 2. Now let me ask you this question. Raise your hand if you are working your shed lot personally. Okay, put your hands down. Raise your hand if you have somebody working it for you. Okay, a little bit both. Okay. Out of 100, how often are you asking for the review? 60%. Okay. Some of us probably 0%. Fair. Okay. And that's the reason why we only have 2 reviews.
So,
Or 3 reviews.
I made little QR codes
Yes, sir.
with the Google link,
Yes, sir.
give them to every customer.
Yep.
I emailed them to customers, I
Sure.
texted them to customers,
Yep.
I called them on the phone, asked them, and then they'll say, well, it says I gotta create a Google account, I don't know how to do that.
Fair enough. Sometimes that happens. Okay. Does anybody want to overcome that objection? How do you guys have the same issue?
No,
What's that?
I never have.
You don't have that issue? Do you guys have that issue?
I didn't hear, I'm sorry.
So that's fine. He said, go ahead and repeat that. I'm sorry.
I made QR codes, cards,
Yes,
you give to every customer, they can put them with the keys.
we do the same, set
And
that
then,
every
and then
desk.
I text the code to them, I email the code to them, call them and ask them, and then I still don't, every now and then I'll get one, not very often. Gives a review.
Is it a lengthy process to set them up with a Google account? I don't know. Just asking.
It's not difficult, but you do have to
Time
have.
consuming.
But a lot of people don't want to
All that
create
registered.
another account, oh, I gotta have another password.
Yeah.
It may depend on, that could also be dependent on an area.
Maybe.
Because some areas are just, or some demographics are just not gonna be as, involved with having a Google account or whatever, versus other areas are more tech savvy and stuff like that. So it may be a variation of that. But back to the point of where to ask for it, the easiest compliments to get are right after delivery. To David's point of saying right after the sale, I can agree with that to a certain point. The other point is our drivers don't mess up. I'm saying, you probably had some past experience with drivers messing up, ours don't mess up. So that is the best place to actually ask for a review,
Well,
is
yeah.
after the delivery. Because then, at that point, they have found out that we have tried to follow through with everything we promised them.
Don,
And we have got them what they wanted.
how many friends do you have?
2 or 3.
I was gonna say, a friend would love, if you send a link to a friend and said, hey, will you leave me a review? You ain't gotta say you bought a shed. Don's a good guy.
I did that, and then I lost my Google account, and I had to start all over.
Little text,
Oh,
little
technology
tech help
is
would
kicking
help
your
them.
butt, huh, bud? I'm the same way, honestly. I'm 38, I grew up in technology, but I am not a tech wizard at all. But let me ask everybody in this room this question, okay? Raise your hand if you have a Google account. All right, fantastic. Can you guys all do me a favor at the end of this? And it's Don, is that correct? Can we all write Don a review today?
There you go.
Yeah, so you just got 25 reviews right there, right? And nobody really knows at the end of the day, right? It's all smoke and mirrors. Advertising is all smoke and mirrors, right? But our goal is, as a community here, that's fantastic. I would have every employee that you have, friend, family, if you go to church, hey buddy, you might, just do a little Google review if you got, right? He's gonna do it right now. Oh man, I appreciate it. Okay, so, but here's the one thing that I want to talk about very briefly about Don's experience, okay? And this is overwhelmingly and unbelievably common throughout every industry, is that we rely upon the polls. You guys know what I mean by that? So if you think about a bell curve, right, you have 2 experiences. You have an experience where somebody says, oh, I don't have Google, I'll never do it, what have you, and then you got somebody over here that does it like right away. Chances are, the belly of the beast, 80% of people are going to be fairly easy to get that review. Okay? So what I don't want anybody to do here, and I'm picking on you just a little bit, okay, if that's all right. And I know I don't think this is you by any stretch of the imagination, but there's something that I believe in with all of my heart limits us, and it's called limiting beliefs. And it's based upon experiences that we have, especially early on. Like, we're going to go through the sales process in a little bit, and I'm going to show you how to greet and do this all kind of stuff. When I deal with sales associates, I'll have the sales associates say, well, Rob, I already did that. How many times did you do it? Twice. And 2 customers told me that they were just looking. Like, well, hold on a second, right? I would never be married to my beautiful wife if I stopped after 2 times, right? Trust me, I had to chase her for a while. Finally landed the big fish, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, as sales associates, we've got to push through a little bit of that adversity in order to find out exactly where those limitations actually are. So let me ask you this question. Number one, out of 100 people, Don, how many people tell you they don't have a Google account?
I'll say 6 out of 10.
6 out of 10. Okay, so that means that 40% of people will leave you a review. How many clients do you sell a year?
Good question.
Let's say 100.
Couple hundred.
Couple hundred? Okay, so at least 40 reviews a year, just like that, based upon those statistics. So the level of success, now let's just go back to this, right? We put up here a closing ratio of 20%, right? 20%, if you're selling 20% of clients in pretty much any sales environment, maybe your environment might be a little bit different. If you sell 20% or 25%, you're a rock star, right? And so with this, if we could just get 20% of the clients that we talk to on a monthly basis to give us a review, your business will skyrocket and absolutely help with your SEO. The best thing for your business, because we all know that people start shopping online, the best thing for your business is what your online presence looks like. And I will tell you guys, I've been overwhelmingly impressed with your website and your videos and different things like that. I did not have a chance to look at everybody, so don't be offended by that. But one thing that you can also include, well, let me just ask you this. Why do you have videos on your website? Content. Raise your hand if you're spending more than 10 hours a month creating content on your company. Probably pretty, right? Maybe. So let me ask you this question. Just going back here, well, let me finish this one up first. If we concentrated on reviews, what would that do to your traffic? Would it increase your traffic? Would it decrease if you could get 5 stars? It would increase, right? What do you think would increase your traffic by?
So I don't know if it would increase the traffic, but
Okay.
I think it would help increase the closing rate.
Fair enough. I like that, absolutely. The reason why I will say that I personally believe more reviews will help you increase traffic is because the more reviews you have, the more interaction with your website and your brand, the higher your organic search is going to rise. And so, as we said before, the higher you are organically, before you actually pay any dollars for it, the more clicks you're going to get. That's the reason why I say that.
Yes.
You agree?
I agree.
So what do you think would do your traffic? Go up, right? Naturally? What would it go up by? This is a lower one, for sure.
30%.
To your point, we got 30% here. This I agree with 100%. I don't think I'd say 30% here.
No, probably 3 to 5%.
3 to 5? Okay. So that's on the high end, correct? Would you personally guarantee me just, who's going to say it?
1%.
1%? You guys can catch on here in a minute. Would you guys personally guarantee me it?
Yeah.
You would, right? Fantastic. Beautiful. Now, I will do a little devil's advocate with you here in a little bit about the best possible time to ask for a review and the best possible time to ask for something else. And again, I do not work in your business. Trial and error is the best way to figure it out. One more idea we were just saying just a second ago, increasing traffic is content. Yes? Yeah. So, I think I saw like 2 people, maybe 3 people do 10 hours a month.
And bad content is good content.
Who said that? What does that mean?
It means any content is better than none.
Okay.
It means Donald Trump.
Yeah.
What's that?
It means Donald Trump.
Bad content?
Yeah, bad
Fair
content
enough.
is good content.
Absolutely, no doubt. Absolutely. 1-on-1 election. I don't think it'll win this one, but we'll see. Well, you never know, right? But give me an example of what bad content is.
Well, I feel like anything you do, you get better at.
Mm-hmm.
And so, it may not be good today, but
You may not
it's,
think what you're posting is good, but it's better than nothing at all.
Right. I mean, I gave a meeting at a Shed Expo, and I walked out of there, I was like, oh, that was okay. You know what I mean? I had to rush through it, I was sweating. Somebody pointed it out before, because the room was just as hot as this. Right, it was terrible, and then Mark gave me a call and said, hey man, I really liked it. I'm like, oh great, thank you. My ego needed that today, buddy. No, I'm just kidding. So let's think about that. So just because, would you say fear is a major factor in that?
yes,
How did you guys get over that? I'm curious.
you don't want to know.
Drugs and alcohol, that's what gets it. All right, but sometimes you just got to take that one step. Probably true, no, I'm just kidding.
You just gotta do it.
You just got to do it, right? So you do content, right? Okay, what's your opinion on content? Why do you do it?
Why do I do it?
Yeah.
Because that's what I was doing before I started selling buildings.
Okay, all
Social
right.
media and marketing.
Social media
I
marketing,
still
okay, so
do
you're an
it
expert
too,
there.
yes.
Fantastic, okay. So what do you wish that you would see out of some shed lots from your professional expertise?
videos are great, any type of pictures, daily, just everyday posts about you're at the lot, you're physically there.
Would you say it's important to have your face in it?
Yes,
Why?
so people know you, so when they come to the lot, they recognize you,
Why is that important?
they feel more comfortable.
More comfortable, right?
Because it's about you.
What's that?
It's about you.
Building your brand,
Why
building a
does
relationship.
Realtors put their face on everything.
Absolutely, right? So I think you said something before about commonality. Was that you that said? Okay. Commonality is one of the strongest forces in sales. Okay? Commonality is one of the strongest forces in sales. That's why a referred customer converts so much higher. Why? Because people want what other people have. Okay? And people want to be comfortable and have a certain level of trust with who they're dealing with. Right? And at the end of the day, the clients are looking for one thing, and that's certainty. And if you're known as the expert in your field, through social media, through TikTok, through Facebook, through a commercial, through video, through YouTube, the client's propensity to feel certain in dealing with you as an expert, is it going to be high or is it going to be low? It's going to be high, right? And so, a couple things that I want to break down for you that I think are extremely important. Number one, being local, right? Super local. Make sure in all of your posts, if you're going to do posts, you have to post the name of your business in the town that it's in. Here's a question for you. Just like I said a few minutes ago, you ever had somebody show up to your lot and they said, hey, I never knew you were here? Mm-hmm. Yes? Yeah. Have you guys had that happen before? Mm-hmm. Okay, why? Because they're never looking for it, right?
They were like you.
They were exactly like me. So if you don't put your town name in there, in your post, and make people hyper aware that you're local and that you're in Carbondale or Marion or whatever town it is, they may go to the next town over because they're familiar with that brand or where it's located. Does this make sense? Okay. So if you guys concentrated, for those of you that are not currently doing it, and again, a lot of these questions are rhetorical, you would do content posts. Raise your hand if you have a Facebook page. Fantastic. Raise your hand if you post on it daily. Okay? You had somebody like, Okay. Do you guys believe posting daily is important?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Raise your hand if you're doing videos on your page. Okay. Raise your hand if you're going live on your page. And raise your hand if you have more than 1,000 followers. Okay. So, one thing that's important, it's equally as important, if you can't get a review, ask them to like and follow you on Facebook. Because top of mind awareness and what that's going to do is going to, and as a social media expert, you can agree with me hopefully on this, you can have those customers share your posts. Mm-hmm. Because here's one thing that I know more than anything, is if I buy something, my neighbors are going to ask me about it. And if I can share where I bought it from on a social media platform, chances are that neighbor's going to think about us when we try to keep up with the Joneses. Does this make sense? Okay. Raise your hand if you believe that social media is going away anytime soon. Good. Social media is like Google. It's a mountain that you just have to work with. It's never going away. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all these different things. Okay. If we started concentrating on creating video content, because consumers nowadays want to watch videos, they want to recopy it all, what do you think would happen to your traffic? It would go up, right? By what percent? 1%. By 1%. I like it. Beautiful. We're intentionally along. Okay. So what we did here is we had. Now here's a question. Did I come up with any of these ideas? No, right? I may have added a little color to them, but I didn't add. These are your ideas. Do you guys think this would work? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
1%.
Just 1%. So this is a 3% increase. Yeah. That's it. Let me ask you this question. Outside of Google ads and maybe doing some targeted ads on Facebook, how much is this going to cost you guys? Huh? Zero. Right? That's good. Somebody told me I needed to have slides. Okay, the next one that we're looking at.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Where do you get Google ads for free?
Say
The
it
ones I've had to pay for dearly.
Google Ads, you've got to pay for it.
Yes.
So you got two different types of social search engine marketing and then optimization. So when you go into Google and you type in shed near me, right, which is, I could assume maybe is a good word to buy. You like that? Shed near me, okay. I could assume it's not going to be an overwhelmingly expensive keyword to purchase, right? Because you're not competing with the majors. Now you might compete with Home Depot on that. I don't know, but or Lowe's or Ace Hardware, whatever it is. But for the most part, that should be very inexpensive because I don't think there's an overwhelmingly amount of competition when it comes to those keywords, right? So you have to buy keywords, and then you have search engine optimization, which is really the organic side of things, where if you put copy, you do social media posts, the more people that interact with your brand via Google, the higher your ranking is going to go. So for example, I typed in sheds, Marion, Illinois, and I did not see Cardinal sheds in there yet, right? At least, well, let me put it this way, I didn't see the first top 4. I can promise you this, human beings, do you guys believe human beings are lazy? Right? Very lazy. They're not going to scroll. The problem is that there is nothing that you can do immediately to get your ranking up immediately. Everything that you do is a slow burn. It takes time. There's things that you can do to perpetuate that a lot faster, like hiring a company, but for the most part, it's going to take organic pressures, having phenomenal copy, and again, hopefully this is okay that I put you guys up last. I was very impressed with their website. They have a lot of great copy. They have phenomenal reviews. They have videos. They literally have everything on their website that's important in order to get your search engine optimization higher and higher and higher. So they have people that are staying on their web pages longer because they're interacting with the content. And I think it's super important. So that's that. Now, you have SEM, which is going to be your paid for ads. That's going to bump you all the way to the top. Those really don't get clicked on, but it's still important because it's going to give you a lot of interaction, at least people top of mind awareness. Fair enough? All right. Let's talk about increasing conversion ratio. We're at 20%. What can we do to increase conversion ratio?
Spending more time with the customer.
Spending more time with the customer.
And working a little harder to find out, what their objections are to possibly buying from our business. So I train myself to figure out all possibilities of why they wouldn't buy our company.
All right, I like that. Raise your hand if you have a sales process. Okay, go for it. I want to hear from you. What's your sales process? Huh? Never mind. What's your sales process?
My sales process is first is my meet and greet.
Okay.
And it's excitement to bring their emotions like up and down. And then once analysis, so I bring them in and find out what, instead of them just walking around a lot, I bring them in and sit them down in my office and find out what they want, what they need. And then figure out the best way to meet their wants and needs. And I figure out early how they're buying, what they're buying, what objections might be firsthand. In the process of all that, I'm figuring out common ground by a sticker on your car or a fishing pole in your truck.
Finding some commonality.
Finding some commonality to talk to them about, to make them feel comfortable. And then I will show them the build that one configurator of the building. And then I go and, just display the building, go over warranties, the bill, all the benefits.
Got it.
And then go over the closing thing.
Close. Anything else?
Sale and then follow up.
Oh, love that. Okay. It's funny. I've given this presentation probably 100 times. You're the first person that's ever said follow up. Okay. So here's what I want everybody to understand. No matter what you're selling, I have an irrefutable selling process for you that you just gotta kind of plug in exactly what your vernacular is going to be. And let's go over it real quick. So first step, you're 100% correct, right? Let's just do this real quick. You have to greet. All right. So what's our greeting? How do we greet a customer?
Stay in our office till they come into the office.
Okay. I like that. Absolutely. You know what's funny?
I was kidding.
That you're not being kidding. You're not kidding at all. So I went to 5 shed lots. I was greeted by 1.
Not ours, right?
Not yours. They were in Florida. I went to 5 shed lots in anticipation of the Shed Builder Expo. I went to 5 shed lots. I was greeted by 1. What did I say to them when I was greeted?
Just looking.
I was just looking. Did I talk to him again?
No.
No. Out of the 5 shed lots, one of them had a sign on their door with a little TikTok symbol and says, "I'll be back in 5 minutes." I waited there for 50 minutes. Did they show up?
Nope.
Why? They're allergic to money, right? So sometimes we get allergies. We get a little itchy, right? Too much money, right? Now, was I going to buy a shed? No. But just to prove a point, I was going to video the person that really gave me an exceptional shopping experience, and I was going to give them a $100 gift card and play it at the Shed Dealer Expo. Okay? Reality was that I still had the $100 today. Okay? So
You're probably gonna keep it.
I'm probably going to keep it. Fair enough. So I walk onto a shed lot. What's my greeting? Number one, let me ask you this question. To Mark's point. If 100 people walk onto your shed lot, how many people should be greeted?
Everyone.
100%.
On the-
Any exceptions?
No.
After hours.
Well, sure. You're close,
No.
right? Absolutely, right? Get out of the
If they're
shed lot. No, you should
something
get a ring doorbell and
or
start talking to
OD,
them.
then you don't grade it.
So, yeah. Go up the street. They're still open. We
We
close
let
at
the
5.
sheriff greet them.
So, we greet customers 100% of the time. On your shed lot, honestly, out of 100 customers, how many people are greeted?
Every one of them that can.
Should I get out
If
there?
they don't
Give
go
it that way.
Yeah, they don't drive past you.
The people that aren't trying to run you over, get out of your lot.
Yes.
So honestly, from kind of what we try to do, is we do try to greet every customer.
Good.
But I know when I'm looking at something to buy, I don't want the salesperson running up to me.
Okay.
And so if I see somebody pull up, I usually try to give them a couple of minutes. Then I'll grab a brochure or jump on the golf cart, go find whatever.
Yes.
But if you're meeting them,
No,
they
you're
don't
right.
have their guard up.
Yep.
And if you let them get there and look at a building or something,
Yep.
they'll be more comfortable and more open to talking to you.
So what's a reason, again, so I'm not from your industry, right? What's a reasonable time to greet a customer?
I'm not saying that's the professional thing to do. I'm just saying from my experience, that's
5 to 10
I
minutes.
think right away.
I would
You
say
think
five
right
to
The
away?
second I see them, I'll read.
Second you see it? So when you greet somebody, so to your point, I'm a lot like you, by the way, right? I'm a salesperson, I think I know everything, I don't need anybody's help. Then I need some help, then I'm mad that I can't find any help, right? And so, I'm like you in the fact that I want to at least be acknowledged. So, I did a little research. This is just in Florida, this is not up here. Do you know what the number one-star review reason was for shed lots in Florida?
Not being greeted.
They were never acknowledged. Nobody ever talked to me. Left a 1-star review. I was ignored. I saw the guy, and I did this, they were making a joke at the Shed Builder Expo. I saw a guy playing Candy Crush, watching Netflix, YouTube, doing some other stuff. Never acknowledged me, right? And so, who's the most important person in our business?
Customer.
Nobody else, right? Just making sure. So, to your point, find out what works for you. I don't want to be pound sign either, but I want to at least be acknowledged, okay? So there's 2 trains of thought when it comes to greeting customers. You have to greet, then you have to reapproach. Now here's the deal. I barely graduated from high school, so forgive me if I spell anything wrong on this piece of paper, okay? I know there's at least one typo in that book. Don't point it out, okay? I know exactly where it is. If you can't find it, then you guys went to the same school I did, okay? So, the greeting, number 1, what's the purpose of a greet?
Acknowledgement.
Acknowledge the customer's a byproduct, but I like where you're headed. What's the goal of greeting a customer? Why did I greet almost every single person here?
Make me feel important.
Remember the names to a degree, which I did a very poor job of, by the way, but I tried my best.
Show importance.
Show importance. Make the customer feel like the star of the show because nobody's more important than him or her, right? And 2, do one more thing.
Bring down the emotion.
Bring down the emotion. Sales is a transfer of what?
Motion.
And nothing else, right? The number 1 thing that I was looking to do was engage in meaningful conversation with you guys. The reason why I'm talking to you guys now the way I do this is because I want to hear what you have to say. In order for you guys to participate, there's got to be a little commonality, a little familiarity, right? And I have to engage in meaningful conversation with the client. I can never sell anything to a customer unless it's online. And hopefully my website engages in meaningful conversation about the products and services that I supply. But I can never sell somebody, I can never influence somebody without meeting them and engaging in conversation. Does this make sense? So when we teach our sales associates, for some of you that have shed lots that have individuals there, the goal is not simply to acknowledge, because it's very simple to acknowledge a customer. Hey, let me know if you need anything. And here's the deal. I can promise you, based upon what I heard at the Shed Builder Expo, that happens a lot, right? So that's okay to do, to acknowledge, and if that's your method of greeting customers, that's fine. That makes step 2 so much more important, which is the what? Reapproach. So if I greet a customer by acknowledging them, hey, my name is Rob, let me know if you guys need any help. I'll be with you guys in a few moments. Go ahead and take your time, browse around. Out of 100 customers, how many of those should I be reapproaching? Here's something that I can tell you emphatically across every single industry. Only 20% of people are reapproached. Because human beings are what? Lazy. And what are we? Salespeople are lazy. Right? Salespeople are lazy. Human beings are lazy. By and large, that's the truth. And so if we think about the importance of the sales process, we have to greet the customer to engage in meaningful conversation. If we don't feel like that's a useful time to do it, the next step in the process is the reapproach. And you guys all agree we should do it 100% of the time, correct? Beautiful. Okay. So, greet 100%. Reapproach 100%. Now let me ask you this question. Right here. Customers, we greet the customer, right? I walk up to the customer, I say, hey, welcome to my blah, blah, blah shed lot. My name's Rob, how may I help you? Whatever your greeting is, what do the clients say?
I'm just looking.
I'm just looking. Raise your hand if you ever heard that they were just looking. Okay, fantastic. What do we say next?
I'm just selling.
I'm just selling. I like the sass. A little sassy. I'm just selling, right? You hit them with a book, right? Let me ask you this question. You ever sell somebody that said that they were just looking?
Oh, yeah.
So let me teach you something about some psychology here. Human beings are what?
Lazy.
They're also liars. We're all liars. Everybody here's a liar, right? Raise your hand if you're a liar. For those of you who didn't raise your hand, prove me right. So here's the deal. Human beings are liars. Customers are liars. Liars are buyers. We've all heard that saying before. But customers are not actors, right? Because here's the deal. Outside of me, who is doing that for purely, investigative purposes to do a meeting, how many people actually go to a shed lot and are just like, man, I have no intention about this shit.
No.
I mean, like, dude, what are you doing today? Bro, I have no clue what I'm doing today. Bro, I'm going to like 22 shed lots. Like, seriously? Hell yeah, dude. I'm going to 22 shed lots and I'm not going to buy a single one of those things. Does this happen?
Free entertainment.
Absolutely not, right? I mean, there's going to be some level of intentionality. Now, in my business, we use a software called Placer AI. Is anybody here familiar with Placer AI? Beautiful. Placer AI is like crazy, like watchdog type software that tracks cell phone data for clients that come into my locations and then where they have come from and where they go to next. 90% of my clients, especially the ones that tell me that they're just looking, either came from another furniture store or are going to another furniture store. And I bet you that it's going to be the same exact thing for you. Now, where do clients go right after they buy something? They go out to eat. Why? Because people want to celebrate. Sales is a transfer of emotion. Use that to your benefit. I can guarantee you the vast majority of your clients that make a purchase go out to eat right afterwards. So if you want to close a deal, it might be something that you can buy them. Hey, listen, here's a gift card. I know you guys are going to go out to eat after this. Here's something to keep some. Fair enough?
Sales lot next to a restaurant.
What's that?
Sales lot next to a restaurant.
Absolutely. Get them all sauced up at the restaurant and have them buy some shit. Okay, so we know that customers are liars. We know that they're not actors. If they're on your shed lot, what's the intentionality of that client? Let me ask you this question. What's the propensity for them to buy a shed in the next 30 days? Almost certain, right? Would you agree? And that's like going to the hospital and saying, I don't think I feel sick today. I might be back later. Chances are, if you show up at the hospital at the ER, you're not walking out of there without getting a little bit of treatment. So, use that to your benefit. If 100 people are showing up at your shed lot in a month and you're only closing 20% of them, that means that there's something that we're missing. There's a piece to the puzzle that we could probably put together, that if we put it together correctly, we could massively and drastically change the trajectory for our business. So let's move on to the next step. So we greet, we reapproach, we engage in meaningful conversation. Now what should I do? To your point, right here, we should discover what the customer's needs are. Okay? So what are some questions that we should ask during the discovery phase of the sales process?
What are you using your storage for?
What are we using the storage for, right?
Buying outright or rent owned?
Why is that important?
That makes a difference on what they can afford.
What's that?
Affordability.
Affordability, you want to ask some budget questions?
Are you looking for something economical?
Say it loud, say it proud.
Are
What
you
is
looking
it?
for something economical or something that's going to brighten up the backyard?
Budgetary questions? Absolutely, right? So one thing that I recognize, this is probably this is the second most important part of the sales process, in my opinion, right? A lot of people say the closes. I say greet's number one, right? Because you want to engage in meaningful conversation. No sales ever been made without engaging in meaningful conversation. Discovery phase is super important because if I can't find out what my client's needs are, how could I ever possibly meet them? So during the discovery phase, in a lot of sales process, we always talk about the 80-20 rule. Has anybody here ever heard of the 80-20 rule? And I talked about this at the Shed Lot. You've heard it? Beautiful. I talked about this at the Shed Expo, and I asked a few people, I was like, you ever ask a customer what's the best use for the shed 80% of the time? Because I'm looking to qualify the customer in two different ways. Number one, I want to make sure I meet their needs, but number two, I want to make sure I exceed their needs, right? Because I want to potentially get away from any kind of objection or bad review by underselling. Does this make sense? Okay, so 80% of the time, what's the best use 80% of the time? What are you storing in that? What are you doing, whatever, you know, home parties in that? You need, you know, for horses, for cattle, I mean, what are you doing with it, right? But the other 20% of the time is where all the money is. Because that's where we have the opportunity to upsell. Does this make sense? So, okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I understand the best use for the shed or for the portable building or for the cabin is going to be 80% of the time. Tell me, what does the other 20% of the time look like, right? Are you going to be storing things, other things, right? Are you going to be putting other things in there? Are you going to be, whatever it is, right? Other types of questions. Because I know during the discovery phase, if I can solve 80% of what the customer's needs are, I'm going to make a sale. If I can solve the other 20%, I'm going to make a big sale. Does this make sense?
Yes.
Okay. The next stage is going to be to present.
What about tying in some emotional questions with it?
Talk to me. Tell me what they would look like.
Like you identify their need, maybe they got something they need to get out of the rain, the weather, whatever. Ask them maybe,
Okay.
what is the cost of keeping it the same?
I love that. Okay. So I think that would be the next part, right? So discovery, you're going to ask those questions.
Gotcha.
Exactly what you're saying. You're going to ask the emotional questions like, you know, okay, well, where's your lawnmower currently stored? It's in the garage. Well, tell me, why do you want to get it out of the garage, right? Or, you know, you have, I don't know, what else people use sheds for? I always think lawnmower. What else?
ATVs, UTVs.
ATVs, UTVs, your toys. Are those huge investments? Great, fantastic, right? How are we going to safeguard those investments? And then in the presenting phase, what do we do during the presentation phase?
Show them the benefit of their needs.
Show them the features and the benefits. Right?
Yes.
Never show a feature. Like I said before, raise your hand if you're an expert in the shed business. Raise your hand. Beautiful. Are your customers experts? No, right? So yes, sir.
I don't want to interrupt you, but
You're not
I feel like
interrupting,
the
sure.
most important thing is to be in control
I love that.
Don't let the dog out.
from the breeding, basically. And I feel like a lot of salespeople let the customer be in control,
That's you.
and you should be in control of every question you ask, everything.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna go and divert just a little bit because this is super important. How can you ensure control?
Open-ended, like not asking like open-ended questions.
So I think that's how you remain control.
Right.
But how do you ensure that you're going to be in control of the conversation?
Asking questions you know the answers to, or you're
Take it one step further, right?
Ask them
If you're going to get into a boxing, anybody here a big UFC fan?
No.
Boxing, anything like that? I'm a big MMA fan, right? I do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I do tournaments. I'm totally into it. The way that I remain in control is through one thing and one thing only, and it's training. What's that? Posture, right? Yeah, posture. It's through training. So here's my question, right? And I know that a lot of you only have like 1 or 2 employees at your shed lot, right? But you guys have each other as a community. When was the last time you guys got together as a community and actually role-played scenarios as to what happens on your shed lots to work to overcome objections, so that way you become the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt in shed sales? When was the last time you guys did that? Has it ever happened? Today. Fair enough, right? Here's the thing. Here's what's crazy, right? We, as a business owner myself, I always work in my business. Very rarely do I work on my business like this. And so, would it be meaningful to increase your sales by just 1%, right? Would you be willing to do the work to do it? So I think for this forum, I mean, you think about this, right? I mean, how could you, I think Abraham Lincoln said, if I'm going to chop down a tree, if I have 11 hours to do it, I'm going to spend 10 hours sharpening my axe and 1 hour chopping down a tree, something like that. I may be paraphrasing a little bit. What he's talking about is he's going to hone his own skills to become the best he could possibly be, to where the time comes to interact with that client, they are the absolute best they could possibly be in order to overcome those objections and be triumphant in this scenario. Because at the end of the day, unless you won, did anybody here win the lottery? No? Dang, I was looking for a handout. But anyway, so if you didn't win the lottery, chances are you have to work at your lot for a living. This is how you provide for your family. So you might as well be the absolute best you could possibly be if you're going to sit there for 8 to 10 hours every single day, Monday through Saturday or through Sunday, right? So to your point, the way you remain in control is by honing that edge.
I think being knowledge and knowing what you're talking about is one way to be in control as well.
No question. Right here, features and benefits, this is PK, right? This is product knowledge. And so if you look at your sales process, what I want you to do, and I'm going to go through here, and what time is it? I'm good on time?
2:21.
Okay, good on time. So present, the next one we're going to do trial close. We're going to talk about that a little bit. We're going to close. And to this gentleman's point right here, we're going to follow up. We're going to write this down. Okay, so in this phase right here is the product knowledge. But what I want us to do is, as you go back to your shed lot, raise your hand if everybody wrote this down, correct? Okay, fantastic. So please write this down. But what I want you to do is I want you to find out on your lots, as you interact with customers, where you are having issues in the sales process. If you're getting the resounding amount of clients right here telling you that they're just looking, you can't get past it, that's an objection that you can work on with your peers and utilize this group to find a way to overcome that objection, right? If you're having a hard time finding out what the customer's needs are through a needs analysis, maybe you reach out to this gentleman right here to find out exactly what he does from a needs analysis standpoint to improve that process. Does this make sense? Same thing down here, presentation. The one thing, what are customers looking for more than anything?
To be seen.
To be seen? One thing I've said it about 5 times. Customers are looking for certainty, right? Nothing else. This is how we display certainty, because we know the clients don't know anything about sheds. Because they buy a shed once in a lifetime or once every 10, 15 years. How often do clients buy sheds?
Every 15 years.
Depends on the warranty. Depends if it's from Cardinal. Once in a lifetime is all that other junk. They buy it every other month, right? I'm with you, brother. So they have very little certainty. They are not the expert. We present the features and the benefits based upon what we learned in the discovery phase to present to that client in a meaningful way. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this shed is going to be 20% larger than what you asked for, because you also told me that you anticipated in buying 2 more ATVs. Is that correct, Mr. and Mrs. Customer? Then you hit them with one of these right here. Anybody ever seen this before? Look at every single person in the room right now. They're all nodding their head. That's this little subliminal message called the McCabe nod. Gets people to nod with you, right? And so you ask them that question, you get them to nod as you're presenting the features and the benefits utilizing your product knowledge. Does this make sense? Okay. Why do we have a trial close before we ask for the money?
To overcome any objections.
Overcome any objections. And sales is a transfer of what? And nothing else, right? Customers looking for certainty. Let me ask you this question. You ever buy something, like a car or anything like that, and feel buyer's remorse before you bought it?
Yes.
Yes.
You have? What is that feeling? Where do you feel that?
Guilty in your gut.
You feel it in your gut, right? Raise your hand if you felt that feeling before. Amen. Absolutely, right? What's that?
And in your pocketbook.
And in your pocketbook. Oh boy, what am I about to do? And you know what? You do it anyway, right? You push through it, and you're sitting down with that guy, and he hands you a nice little bottle of water, and you buy that car anyway, and you spend $1,000 more money.
Then you watch that.
Then you go out
Then
there
you go out
and
to
spend
dinner,
more
spend
money.
more money.
I can't afford this, but honey, let's go out and get some Applebee's, right? So, trial close, we know sales is a transfer of emotion. Have you ever had a client of yours back out at the last minute and say, I gotta go think about it? I gotta go ask my spouse. I need to go home and
Measure.
okay.
Well, that goes into one thing. I always find out if both parties are present, you know, or if they're the decision maker, so I know how to handle as I'm going through all the steps and process to be able to be knowledgeable to how to close it, you know, different angles and stuff, to make sure it's better.
Absolutely. A lot of these, to your point, especially the spouse one, the measure one, even the think about it one, like a lot of these can be done right up here in the discovery phase, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, this is a large financial decision. Is there anybody else that may want to weigh in on this? Because maybe we should get them on the phone now or FaceTime with them so we can show them all the features and benefits at the same time. Does that make sense? We can make sure that his or her needs are taken into account before we make the final decision today. Make sense? Okay, I love that. What are other objections? Spouse, measure, think about it.
Geographics.
What's
I'm
that?
gonna say like your building and zoning codes.
Okay, that is definitely something I haven't heard before.
It plays into their budget overall, and I think that if we don't get that in discovery, we've presented them something and we've over-presented because, let's just say the building and zoning code doesn't allow that size,
Right.
then we're backpedaling, and that makes them question.
Okay, so how do we overcome that one? Anybody here ever got the zoning code one before?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Definitely would have thought of that.
To me, that goes back into being knowledge and knowing, it's knowing your customer, the demographics of them,
Them and where they're at.
of where they're at. We get it all the time in Jefferson County. Well, I gotta get a permit.
Okay,
If you already know, I'm like, yeah, you can get 200 square feet or less, you don't have to get a permit,
how
right?
did you figure that
Trial and error.
Calling
Trial.
the county and speaking to
So
them.
we call the counties and find out, and like now there's
I have a cheat sheet.
we have a cheat sheet, but like the town right next to us, any shed has to have a concrete pad. Concrete's expensive now, so that's an extra expense.
Okay.
So all of Wood River and Granite City have to have concrete pads.
Raise your hand if you have like, without even, so you have a cheat sheet, right? I love that. Raise your hand if you also have a cheat sheet. So, you got one? Okay, good. Okay, so we got a few people here with cheat sheets. Love that. If you don't have a cheat sheet, this is a huge opportunity for you because to your point, my goal as a salesperson is to be and to sound competent and to be an expert so I can project to him or her certainty in the buying process, right? And so in order for me to do that, to this gentleman's point, if I have a cheat sheet that's there to say, okay, great, you're in zip code, and maybe it's zip code, maybe it's counties, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fantastic. Well, hey, listen, I know I can get at least 200 square feet out there, maybe 300 or something like that. Or, I know exactly what you're looking for. This is going to take a couple other steps in the process, so here's exactly what we need to do to get this started. And I can handle that. I'm sure you can handle the permitting and all that for your clients.
No,
Okay.
they do it, but I can print off a blank PDF for them to have it ready for them and at least guide them in the right direction and give them the knowledge.
So, just a quick question, and I've never bought a shed, never sold a shed in my life. What would stop us? I'm just saying, because like I said before, humans are in their lives,
Lazy.
right? So lazy lives. So if they're lazy, how many people drop out of the sales funnel purely because they don't want to do that? Huh?
Probably a lot. And you have to really walk their hand. You have to walk them to the county's office and say, here's what you do. And you're basically doing it for them without actually doing it for them.
My fear of that is that if something's wrong, then it comes back on you, though, if you're doing it for them. But,
Okay. Again, I'm not really sure. For me, if I had a shed lot, potentially, I may think about a way to add that as an added service. You could do it by yourself, or for X amount of dollars, I'll do it for you to save yourself the problem. Somebody like me, as a lazy liar, I'm going to say, you know what? I can't even fill out an email properly. I'm going to pay somebody to do it. I'm going to absolutely part ways with $1,000 on top of the shed cost in order to do that.
Yeah,
That might make
kind of like
sense
a
for
Google review. If they can't do a Google review, or they can be able to fill out an application
Fair
that
enough.
we know all the answers to.
Yep, exactly. So do it for them, right? Okay, so there's these objections. So during the trial close, we talked about buyer's remorse just a few minutes ago. The customer is going to have buyer's remorse before you ask for the money. So what should I be doing before I ask for the money? I feel buyer's remorse where? In my
Gut.
gut? Where do I feel excitement? Right before you go on a roller coaster, what do you feel?
In your stomach.
In your stomach, right? So I know what the antidote is for buyer's remorse, it's excitement. So what I do is very simply, right before I ask for the money, is I go over the features and benefits that made that customer interested in that shed to begin with. Mr. or Mrs. Customer, here's your detailed quote. It encounters here, it's a 20 by 20, which has the additional 20% for all the extra goodies. You're gonna get everything out of the rain. We got the expensive windows, and we have the nice shutters, and we have the AC units and the electrical package. All of these things that's gonna bring you massive amount of certainty. Obviously romanticize that in your own language, and all of that comes to, then we ask for the money. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If I just went straight for the close, features and benefits, cold time period. You ever have a client get cold?
Yes.
We gotta warm them back up again, because sometimes we do have to let the client away for a second in order for us to get our stuff together. Does this make sense? As we're getting our stuff together, we have to re-warm, put the client back into the microwave, spruce it up just a little bit in order to bring the customer's confidence level back up, excitement level back up. Then I ask, Mr. or Mrs. Customer, is this affordable to you today? Now, again, I can only tell you from my personal experience, going back here to the budgetary things, we normally talked about this during discovery, right? So you know if this is a cash buyer, right? Well, I'm going to spend $8,000, $10,000, $20,000 in cash. I'm going to finance it, or I'm going to do a rent-to-own, right? Okay, rent-to-own, is there a down payment? And there's a monthly payment, right? So when you go buy a car, do they ever tell you the total price of the car?
No.
Why?
Say what your payment is.
They never sell a car ever again, right? Oh, I thought it said 32,000, 32,000, and now I'm looking over here, 62,000, what the hell happened? Right? What do they tell you? They tell you the monthly payment and the down payment, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, solve all of your problems right after romanticizing it and bringing their emotional level up. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, here's your minimum monthly payment, and here's your down payment. Now, out of these two, I just circled it, got ahead of myself. Out of these two, which one's normally the bigger objection?
Down payment.
Okay, what do we say? How can we get over the down payment?
Don't make a big deal.
Huh?
Don't make a big deal about it.
You shouldn't. That's for sure. What happens if I
Tiny.
If you make a big deal, it's gonna be a big deal, so how would you like to pay? Cash, Visa card?
Right. So let's just run this scenario. I'm with you. That's exactly what you should do. At this point, you should assume the customer's ready to buy. They saw the price of it. You told them the terms early on. People are smart, kinda. They should be able to figure it out at this point. But what happens if I say, and again, I'm making up numbers, is $100 a month a lot for a shed or a little?
Little.
All right, what's a normal price of a shed for a month?
200.
How much? 300?
250.
250? Okay. And what's a typical down payment? 250 bucks. Okay. So what can I do if I'm going to ask for this monthly payment? It's the same, right? That's the same. That's normally the same. And they have a problem with this, but they have no problem with that. It's funny how humans are, right? Well, what do you do next month, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, after I close? This is okay, that's not. What the hell's going on here? I missed something, right? Okay, so let's just say this is the problem. Where do I know that customer's going later?
The rest.
No?
It's out to eat.
They're going out to eat. So they lied to you. The down payment, to your point, don't make a big deal out of it. We know they have more money because they're going out to eat later. 90% of clients are going out to eat after they buy something big, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I just want to go back through here because I understand that the down payment may be a little high. You know what? Honestly, $250 is a lot of money. So, you said something early on, and I've been having it in the back of my head. The customer is always right. You guys know where that came from? Came from the old sales Bible. It's an old Zig Ziglar thing. And what the actual context of the customer is always right is that we want to make the customer feel as if they're right, when most customers are always wrong. We never want to be combative with the customer, but we can do something here and decompress this. You guys understand feel, felt, found? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I understand how you feel. Other customers has found the same, or felt the same way, but what they found is. People want to be like other people. You guys said it before. If I buy a shed, what's my neighbor probably going to do?
Buy a shed.
Why?
Keep up.
They want to keep up with the Joneses. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I totally understand how you feel. $250 is a lot of money. Although they just committed to you before that it's not because they said it's good, right? It is a lot of money. You know what? I've had a lot of other customers tell me in the past that $250 down is a lot of money. They feel the same way. Matter of fact, I feel the same way. But you know what? I want to ask you just one simple question. In a perfect world, what would you do differently about the shed we picked out today? How long does it take for a client to settle on a shed? Hour?
15 minutes, 30 minutes.
Sometimes 15 minutes, that's the one.
Sometimes 5 hours.
Sometimes 5 hours, right? So let's just say the average is 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Is that fair? Mr. and Mrs. Customers, over the past 45 minutes, we picked out the shed, and I've listened to everything you need. As soon as the client gives you an objection here during the down payment, we go right back here. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Down payment's too high, right back here. When the down payment's too high, that means...
You didn't build enough value.
Say it loud, say it
You
proud.
didn't build enough value.
You did not build enough value. I don't see the value in this. It's never a problem of money, and if it actually is, unless you're in the business of repossession, chances are you're going to have a repossessed shed. If it's $250 today, it's a problem, but $250 a month isn't, you're going to get a repossessed shed. That's just my opinion, right? May need to step them down. Go back through features and benefits, go back to the trial close. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, in a perfect world, what would you change about the shed that we just spent 45 minutes picking out? What do you think the client's going to say? It's an amazing response, isn't it? So what did they just admit to you? They see the value and it's perfect. In a perfect world, what would you change? Nothing. It's perfect. So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, although $250 is a lot of money, wouldn't you agree for the perfect shed, it would be worth it? Is there something we may not be able to do later on today or the next few days to be able to afford the $250? We could take cash, check, credit card. You got 30 days. Can you take credit card? Right? Does this make sense? You have to push past the last no in order to get the yes. No means new opportunity.
I could
What's that?
break down like, if they're on the monthly payment, you could break down like $250 divided by $30 to show and kind of help budget and see where they can save $1.50 a day, like a bottle of water.
Absolutely.
DoorDash,
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can break it down to the lowest common denominator. We're talking about $2 a day or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Break it down like that. I love that. And then the last step is going to be follow-up. Right? Let me ask you this question. Well, let's do this first. If we started greeting, right? Started greeting 100% of the clients, which I know everybody here, humans are liars. I can guarantee you we're not greeting 100% of them. Right? Mark, would you agree with that? That we're not greeting 100%? Yep. Okay? And we're not reapproaching 100%? Right? Fair enough? Beautiful. If we made it our life's mission for the next 365 days to greet 100% of our clients with the sole purpose of engaging in meaningful conversation, what would that do to our closing ratio?
Way more than 1%.
What's that?
What? Way more than 1%.
What would you personally guarantee me?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. Just 1%. That's all we want to do. Atomic habits, baby. Love it. Okay, if we became jiu-jitsu black belts on our product knowledge and really understood the features and benefits of everything we have to offer, and we got this big, beautiful book here with phenomenal core values and principles, by the way. I would print this out, frame it, put it in my office, so that way people understand exactly what we're about. I think it's beautiful. But we understand everything there is to know about everything that we have in this book. And, like off-the-guard shits, what the size are, so that way we can display our competency in front of the clients. What would that do to our sales?
A lot.
A lot,
On
right?
top of that, I have like, if you take a picture with your customer, not only just on like Facebook and stuff, but we have a book that people can flip through on your desk, showing people's like pictures and their comments, reviews and stuff like that. I forget what you call that, but it's like a,
Like you do it physically.
physically, like this book right here, sitting on my desk, open, and it has like this picture will have a review, this one have a customer smiling like this with the shed,
Yeah.
whole sign, and they can flip through it and see a bunch of other happy customers.
Absolutely.
It's their emotion, like,
You can make that your identity wall. That's a phenomenal idea, by the way. An identity wall, right? You can have your logo, like I'm sure in your main shed, where you guys like hang out in your desk yard and stuff like that, or your trailer, whatever it is. They'd probably have something behind you with your brand name, right? Place it all around, like the Ronald McDonald hands, you know what I mean? Everybody that's bought a shed from you the past year and a half with their picture doing thumbs up. Another thing you could do to this gentleman's point, you can ask for a review right then and there on your Facebook account. You could go live, you could take a video of it. Hey, I'm here with Mark. Mark, tell me about your experience over here at Cardinal Sheds. Oh, it was fantastic, it was great. Well, hey, Mark over here bought a 20 by 20 shed, he's gonna be putting his ATVs in there and all the other kind of toys that he's got. If you guys want the same type of experience that Mark had, please come down here. My name is Rob at Cardinal Sheds down here in Marion. I mean, that's like 32 seconds, and I have a testimonial from Mark on my Facebook page. And Mark's a raving fan. Why wouldn't he do it? Does this make sense? Okay. So, what would happen to your sales? Way more than 1%, right? Or would you guys personally guarantee me 1%? Yes or no?
Yes.
You would, right? Raise your hand if you really truly are a jiu-jitsu black belt in every detail of the sheds you sell to your clients. That's good. That means there's room for improvement, right? We can spend time on it. How many clients do we normally see in a day?
5 to 10.
5 to 10? And the average client stays on the shed lot how much time? Some of them just zip through, right? And then you might have 1 or 2 that actually talk to you and spend time in the shed lot. So what do we do with the remaining 6 hours of the day? Marketing, different things like that. Becoming as knowledgeable as you possibly can in the industry, and some Candy Crush, right? Fair enough.
And TikTok.
And TikTok. Anybody here have TikTok? Delete that thing off your phone. That's the worst thing for you. I spend 10 hours a day on that thing. I really do. It's terrible. My wife texts me like 1 time, what are you doing on TikTok?
So that watch her video she sent you.
I know. She hounds me too. Constantly. I'm doing the same. Okay, beautiful. All right, and then what happens if we started really focusing on the close, or the trial close and the close? What would happen to our sales? By 1%, right? All right, so we got another 3% here. Now, last thing I want to talk about very, very briefly is following up with your clients. You have a client that comes in, okay? You're talking to them, you deal with them, and they say no, they don't want to do business with you for whatever reason. What should we be doing? Huh? What do you got to do before that? Get their information. Okay. So if I have 100 people that walk in currently, and I'm closing 20%, that means that 80 people, right, are walking out without purchasing. Does this make sense? Okay. Out of 80 people, how many people are you asking for their name and their phone number to follow up with?
Should be 100%.
Everyone we can.
I know it should be 100%. What's the action?
70% would be for us.
Not doing it? Fair enough, man. I love the honesty. Now, here's the thing. You can 3x your sales simply by following up with clients. So I made a joke before, and it was all to go back to this. Have you ever in your lives went to a shed lot without the intention of buying? I mean, again, did you go to 20, 30 shed lots, tell your buddy how great of a day you're going to have, I'm going to go to all these shed lots and waste all these salespeople time? So the propensity, and I think this gentleman said, and you said as well, the propensity for somebody to buy a shed within 30 days of entering your shed lot is near 100%, right? So if you're spending a few hours a week, 10 hours a week on marketing, or 10 hours a month on marketing, and you're spending 0 hours on following up, I think there's a miscalculation and misbalance there. Because what would you rather find? Somebody that might buy a shed, that might in the future buy a shed, or would you rather talk to somebody with absolute certainty over the next 30 days is going to buy a shed? Where would you rather spend your time?
The absolute certainty.
No question. The one thing is that the clients sometimes need more information. And here's the difference. I went to 5 shed lots as a layman in sheds. I could not tell you the difference between iguana sheds, true built sheds, Auburndale sheds, Arcadia sheds. I couldn't tell you a difference between any of them. They all look the same. For the ladies in here, you ever shop for perfume? Why do they give you coffee beans in between smelling perfume?
Cleanse your palate.
Cleanse your palate, right? So that way you can go to the next perfume. There isn't anything like that in the shed industry, right? So they're going to shed lot to shed lot to shed lot to shed lot, and they're not buying a shed because nobody's giving them the coffee beans. The follow-up is the coffee beans. Does this make sense? It's to cleanse the palate because they all smell the same, they all look the same. And by giving them a little bit of coffee beans, making them smell the coffee beans, they're now reminded again about you. Yes, sir?
Go ahead, sorry. Also, with what that kind of same thing, but like showing them and going over all the fine like little details and the bathrooms and this and that, is something that if you didn't show them, they're not gonna know, they're gonna think it's the same as the one down the street. Those are little things that will help build value. And,
100%.
you know, just make it, you know, make it worth more.
You're 100% correct.
Why can't you not be the coffee bean though?
You are the coffee.
That's, I mean, that's, like, you've never been in my shed lot,
No.
right? But we try to make sure that we are the difference. And if you show up, you'll see that, you know what I'm saying?
No question, no question. What I'm saying is that we're still not gonna sell 100%. As a salesperson who knows everything and actually knows nothing, right? I want to go to other shed lots just to feel like I've experienced enough about something that I really don't know anything about before I can make a decision. And if I want to make a decision, my wife's going to force me to look other places because she loves a little retail therapy, right? Fair enough? So what my advice would be, and I give this advice to everybody. We were at a Harley-Davidson dealership a couple days ago, and we were talking to him, and he said, okay, you know, Harley-Davidson is like very, very specific. It's a very specific type of motorcycle. You're either a Harley head or you're not a Harley head, right? I mean, yeah, you can be an Indian and you can have a, you know, Yamaha and all this other kind of stuff. But for the most part, if you're a Harley person, you're a Harley person. And so if you're going to a Harley-Davidson dealership, the only competition you have is another Harley-Davidson dealership. Well, what can't you do, right? Maybe it's price, maybe the sales experience wasn't that great, whatever it is. And so what I want to do is I want to use this. Raise your hand if you have a cell phone, okay? Everybody here, for the most part, has a cell phone. And for the most part, most people, 99% statistically, can receive a video message. How much effort would it take knowing that 80% of our day is doing things other than selling our product, where we can go over here to our phone, take a quick video of the features and benefits of the shed or whatever the customer was looking at, the portable building, the cabin, and send that over to the client to where they're constantly reminded about your brand. Let me ask you a question. Is that possible to do that?
Yeah.
Would that be the squeaky wheel? Would you be a disruptor if you did that? Absolutely, right? And I can promise you 80%, let me ask you a question. I won't promise you anything. Out of 80 people that don't buy from you, if you shot them a video message or shot them a text and gave them additional features and benefits to go home and think about, out of the 80%, and the 80 people rather, how many of those people would come back to your shed lot purely because you did one single action?
1%.
Just 1%. Just one. I love it. Just one. And it's even more important to follow up with clients that did make a purchase. And we're going to get into that in a little bit. So we are going to take a 10-minute break. Is that fair enough? And then we're in our home stretch. I see everybody's got to use the potty dance and everything like that. So go for it, okay? We'll be back here. Let's get back here in at 2:57. Fair enough? Beautiful. Let's do it. we want to say? So we've gone over increasing ups, which I put right here. Actually, I'll move it here. I'm fine with it if you're fine.
Okay.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. All right, so we've gone over ups and closing ratio. The next thing we're going to go over is increasing average ticket, okay? So what can we do to increase our average ticket? We're at 6,600 now. Average sale.
And electrical packages.
Add electrical packages.
At a ramp.
What's that?
A ramp.
Ramp. Okay, so I've heard ramps a lot. What's our current attachment rate to ramps? How much is a ramp? How much?
200, 235, or 295.
200 to 275, is that what I heard? That,
90.
295? Okay, all right. So the one thing that we're going to do here, and I know we're running a little over time, and I apologize for that. When we're selling any item, especially ancillary items, what's the number one thing I want to do for a customer? What's the number one thing that I should do that kind of counteracts everything you've ever learned about sales?
You should be honest with them.
Should be honest with them? No, you should always be honest. I always learned that in sales, okay? But I like where your head's at. I like where your head's at.
I feel like you should take care of them, and where they don't have buyer's remorse or regret. And I think the easy thing to do is not to take care of them. As in, I don't sell the electrical because it's more headache. I don't sell the ramp because it's not really big enough. But $200 on every, even 50% of all of your transactions could add up to how much more at the end of the year.
No question. We're absolutely going to get into that. So, if you don't have something that is of value, you should not sell it. I agree with you, right? And if it's not of value, I can tell you this, just from knowing Mark and the other leadership individuals that are here, you have to find the thing through iteration and improvement to find the thing that's going to be of the most value. Is this causing the audio to be dead? It is? So that to me is extremely important to your point. The number one thing, so sales, what are customers looking for more than anything in the sales process? Solutions, and they're looking for certainty. Certainty, right? In order to get an add-on, you need to do the opposite of that. You need to create a problem. You need to create uncertainty. All the money in add-ons is found in the uncertainty of the customer. And sometimes we need to create that uncertainty. So one thing that I've heard of, now I don't know about you, but for me, if I was going to buy a shed, a ramp would be something that I would assume I would need, right? So why would I need a ramp?
Getting the lawnmower inside.
Lawnmower inside. What else?
The door jamb's raised, so for walking in easily.
Absolutely. Walking in, right?
So that ramp, I would say 90% of them are going to be looking on Amazon or to buy the ramp anyways.
Right.
And then if you were selling them the ramp and offering it to them, you're making it easy and more convenient for them because customers are lazy.
So those are all solutions. What's the problem?
Oh, a problem?
No, I agree with you, but I'm just saying, what is the problem?
No, the problem is they can't get the lawnmower in without a ramp.
Right. So, how do we introduce the problem in a meaningful way to the client? Sales is a transfer of emotion, right? So we have to create an emotional response. So, first thing that we can do, if I was you, now I'm very contrived in my actions, I like to think that I do a lot of things on purpose, I would kick the front of that thing as I walk in.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oops, sorry about that. I wouldn't say another word about it. Just a little subliminal deal, right? Sure, you guys have looked at me differently, but everything, yeah, no, I wouldn't say a word about it, right? Just like my nod, I'm not telling him I'm nodding for a reason, right? Yet my man right here is nodding, he can't even stop. Look at him try to stop, look at him try to stop, he can't stop. Right? And so everybody does, right? It's just human behavior. So I'd walk in and, oh, sorry, not say another word about it, until it's time to create the problem. So do you guys create quality products? Do you guys have quality products? Okay, what's a quality car? Give me a car.
BMW.
Well, no, that's terrible.
Quality car.
No,
Maserati.
I'm just kidding. Maserati's even worse. You guys are going downhill, bro. No, BMW is a great car. I'm teasing. Okay, a BMW, do they have bad transmissions?
No.
Okay, if I ride a BMW for 1,000,000 miles, what's going to happen to the car? It's going to fall apart, right? So even though we have quality products, if I take a lawnmower in and out of that shed, on average, how often does somebody mow their lawn? Every week, right? During the season? Okay, so how many weeks is the season?
About 30.
25, 30.
Okay, let's say 30 to make it a round number. So 30 times by 2 is going to be 60 times that I am rolling the lawnmower in and out of that threshold. Now my guess would be that's where the door meets the floor, right? Isn't that where there's probably some water penetration that comes in? Over time, wouldn't you agree that typically the places that are, not 100% sealed are the places where water or air or something like that might come in? Would you agree with that? Right? So over time, the problem that I might create is, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, we build things to last. You're not going to find a better product than this. However, how often do you mow your lawn? 30, 40 times a year? Yeah, 30, 40 times a year. That means that 30 to 40 times 2, because you're going to bring a lawnmower in and out, you're going to be going over this threshold, which is the only place that a water or a storm or wind or anything like that can penetrate this deal. One thing that can solve that problem for you is do me a favor. How often have you ever shown a customer and you get them involved? One thing that we do when we sell beds and mattresses, and we were talking about mattresses before, when I sell a mattress, I hand the customer a pillow. Why? Because now they're emotionally attached to the pillow and they're going to carry it around from bed to bed to bed to bed to bed. What I would do personally, if I was you, is I'd have a lawnmower there and say, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, do me a favor, push that lawnmower in the shed. What do you have? You have a rider or you have a pusher? I have a rider. Fantastic. Push it in the shed. Great. Put that on the ramp. Which one's better for you? Which one would be better? Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, for $295, would you rather solve the problem today or come back 3 weeks from now and buy the ramp? I can deliver it with it. Created the problem, had the customer involved in the solution, offered a solution to the problem, and had the customer feel the pain to the problem. Does that make sense? That's how you get an add-on. So, if I started asking clients, because what percentage of customers use their shed for lawnmowers? 70%, 80%? So this is a problem that 70% of sales can get. Yes or no? Yep, okay. Would you guys personally guarantee me just 1%? Yes? Beautiful. What's another add-on that we can do besides a ramp?
Shutters, flower boxes.
What's that?
Sky cap.
Some
Say it one
sky
time.
ridge cap.
Sky ridge cap.
What's that?
It's a clear piece that's dead center on the top of your building, so it lets daylight in. It's an easy
Kind of
sell.
like a skylight bridge cap.
Well, what's the point of that?
It lets daylight in.
Light?
Having windows for people to see in.
Okay.
All you gotta do is step into a shed that has no windows and just let the door close.
Absolutely. You know what you should do? Put a little gremlin in the corner if they can't see it. You know what I mean? Turn the lights on and there's, whoa, right? Give them some experience. Okay, so here this is like an either or, right? When it comes to this type of add-on, I like this as an either or because can we sell electrical packages on sheds?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this to me is an either or. How much is a Skyridge cap?
$8 a foot.
What's that?
$8 a foot.
So give me,
16 feet, so what,
$160.
$160. How much is an electrical package?
$85 an outlet. I mean, add all this stuff up, probably.
And then you gotta run electricity to it, right?
Average of 500.
Average of 500. So for me, I don't like to make something like, and again, I don't know your industry at all, I've never sold a shed, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, if I am wrong, fair? But to me, I think that, to your point, if I'm going in there, if I'm riding my lawnmower, or if I'm getting something in and out of that, maybe during a storm or at night or something like that, I would say that I would probably need something like this. Like, what's the level of necessity here to clients? Is it a high level of necessity? Is it low?
High, I think.
High?
I think.
Okay. So out of 100 people, what percentage of people would need to have this?
Probably 50%.
50%. So we have a 50%. What's a problem that we can introduce here? We can do exactly what he said, right?
Yeah.
Right? So would you say that most shed customers are buying sheds for the very first time, or is this their second or third shed?
First
Second
time.
or
Okay. We got a little bit of house divided here. We're gonna pick the ones go on this side and this side. You guys are gonna fight and we're gonna find out the answer. Okay, so let's say we have clients that have had sheds in the past. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, have you ever had a lighting problem in the past? And what do you think the answer to that question is gonna be?
Absolutely.
Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, for around $160 or $500, depending on the option that you choose, I can solve that problem for you. Let me show you what those two things look like. And we do exactly what this gentleman said. We bring them to a shed, we have them experience it, because sales is a transfer of emotion, right? And so I have them experience the Ridge Camp light, and I have them flip the switch so they can see everything in it. For existing customers that have had sheds in the past, I would do something a little bit differently. I'd ask the customer a very rhetorical question. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, have you ever lost something in the back of your shed? And because everybody that I've talked to says whatever's in the back of the shed dies there. Is this true? In the loft? If there's a loft to the shed? Absolutely, right? So it dies there. Why does it die back there? You have to crawl to get to it, and you can't see it because you don't have proper lighting, right? So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you've had sheds before. Role play this with each other, right? Mr. and Mrs. Customer, have you had a shed before? Yes, I've had a shed before. Great. What are the items that are all the way in the back of the shed that you forgot about? And then when you dug it out of the shed, you wish you had known it was there all along. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, do you think having better lighting or more ample lighting would solve some of those problems for you? Yes. You see what I mean? So you get the customer to say yes. So out of the 50%, can we get just
1%.
Amen. All right, what's one more thing we can do for add-ons?
Windows.
Upgraded windows.
Indoors?
LuxGuard flooring.
Huh?
LuxGuard rubber flooring.
Flooring?
Shelves.
Shoving.
Shelves?
Lofts.
Insulation.
Insulation? Why is that? Keep it warm.
It's cold.
Keep it cold. Oh, we don't have that problem. I never thought about that.
Climate control. It keeps
It's
it
climate control now. We want AC in there. Heck yeah. We want AC in here. All right, so going back, I just want to make sure everybody was on board here. In order to get windows and doors, what do I have to introduce for flooring, shelves, and insulation? What do I need to do in order to get the customer to even consider it?
Introduce the problem.
Introduce the problem. Introduce a little bit of uncertainty, right? So if we go back to the sales process, right? Two things. During the sales process, during discovery, right here, the client's going to give you spoken objections and unspoken objections. The spoken objections are going to be things like, hey, when you ask them the question, what's in the back of the shed, all these different things, you need extra lighting, right? Unspoken objections are going to be, well, if you don't ask, they're never going to tell you. So why are you replacing a shed right now, right? Tell me about your previous experience with your last shed, or tell me about a perfect experience with a new shed. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, I understand how you feel. Other customers have felt the same way, and what they found is by getting any one of these products, it solves XYZ problem. So for me, just as a layman that's never owned a shed before, if I was going to buy a shed, I'd want doors on the front and the back of it. Is that something that exists?
Yes.
Yes.
Yet every shed that I've looked at only has a door on the front of it. That at least I've seen, okay? So an easy add-on is Mr. and Mrs. Customer, especially if you've had a shed in the past. All the stuff that gets in the back of the shed gets lost. By adding a door, how much is a door in the back of it? How much? $400? How many? Let me ask you this question. Raise your hand if you have a shed personally.
not anymore.
Not anymore? Got rid of it? Don't like it? I'm with the... No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Everybody here's got a garage, right? You ever lose something in your garage? You ever go out and buy it, and then 3 weeks later you find it?
Yep.
How do you feel? Raise your hand if that's ever happened. Okay, every single person on planet Earth has felt that exact same feeling. So that's something that you can find in common with your clients, right? Commonality. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you ever lost something and then find it a couple of years later or a week later? Yeah? How much money does that cost you in your lifetime? By adding an additional door here or some lighting or whatever it is, chances are, and some shelving especially, to be more organized, nothing's worse than an unorganized shed. We can supply you with a little bit more certainty. Here's the deal, as a professional salesperson, the last thing you want to do is undersell a client. Because when you undersell a client and they have a bad experience, who do they blame? They blame you. They blame the salesperson. So, just saying, if we introduced the problem, when we started talking in terms and building commonality with the client, what could we find here? Yes, sir.
I have a question though. I would like to know how pushy of a salesperson you are.
Not at all.
So, from my experience, you can sell a customer so much that you make it not affordable,
Very
even on
true.
rent to own. And so,
Or
Do
you
you-
overcomplicate
or you but to me, I don't wanna make that shed, I can sell all the bells and whistles, and again, I'm not trying to hijack, it's just, I try to not be too pushy, because if you push it, and then they can't afford it, you did them a disservice.
Very true. Absolutely, right? So here's my caveat. Not one thing that I've ever said, at least in my opinion, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, is pushy.
Not at all.
Okay. The reason why is because all I'm doing, my job, is to find certainty and to make sure the customer experiences the value that they came to me for. And so all I'm doing is asking questions and presenting the options. But I'm going to do it in a way to where the customer doesn't feel like, well, hey, you know, if I just said, hey, listen, man, I got the Skyridge caps, $160, do you want it? I mean, because my guess is that you offer these add-ons, right?
Yes.
Okay. The difference is, if I just offer them, the customer gets very little value, right? Because they're not seeing any potential problems. If I present these options with some value-added conversation through real-life experiences, there's a possibility the customer might see value in it and say yes. A pushy salesperson is going to take all of this stuff, wrap it up in a bow, and present it to them as if it wasn't an option. So what I want to do is the opposite. I want to say, hey, here's this deal. I'm selling the selling. Sally says she's selling. I'm selling the shed first, getting that done, and then I'm saying, hey, are there additional items that can make your life easier, right? So that's all I'm trying to do. I can understand where you're coming from. 100%.
Well, if you told me to go sell rounds, I could probably sell a round with about every shed, right?
I don't know.
But do you really want to? And I'm not saying a ramp is going to make it be a repo, but it's kind of where. How far do you push that?
Yeah,
I guess.
So here's what you're
But-
asking about.
But what you could do is take the ramp and all the features you're gonna add on, and if it's a payment plan, you can play around on the calculator to know how much is that really going to adjust the overall cost per month.
So you can finance this stuff?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can put it all in the total package. So, I mean, adding a ramp is gonna raise your payment
10 or 15, which is a big deal on rent.
some, but
No question.
But yeah, you gotta kind of know where their budget is.
Yeah.
And if you do your homework in the beginning, going back to the process to know what their budget is, how much, where do you want your payment to be each month?
Very, very, very true. So
Yeah.
let me ask you guys this question. Have you ever, what's that?
I didn't realize how much it was a month for just ramp.
How much is it?
$11.
$11.
Yeah.
So two things. If I, and this is my point of view, okay? If I don't offer it, can a shed still be repossessed?
Yes.
It can, right? Have we ever not offered it and the shed was repossessed?
Yes.
Was the shed repossessed because we didn't offer it?
No.
Have we ever sold a ramp or any of these items and did not have a shed repossessed?
Yes.
So how do we know which customers will be which?
You never know.
So,
But
so
I do agree with his point of
No, I do
pushing
too.
the threshold too far up.
Yeah.
And I think back to David's point, if you figure out where their budget is back in the process in the beginning, you know to not push that objection up too high down the bottom.
Well, and I've done
That's
it,
true.
I guess is why
Yeah.
I'm saying this, and I try not to be a pushy salesperson, because if I've got a bunch of repos, to me that's a reflection that I didn't do my job correctly.
Oversold.
I oversold.
Yeah.
And so, when it's a rent to own, for me, I try my best to keep it as cheap as I can, as less expensive as I can.
Sure. We want to keep the bill as cheap as possible.
Because it's all about the payment.
Yes.
And I could sell it, but then that's kind of doing everybody wrong. I think as a salesperson, if you don't treat that customer and give them the best experience, you're doing them a disservice as a salesperson.
I agree with you.
I think most customers, your discovery process, they're gonna tell you, well, we need some light, because we gotta build, we need a skinny ramp, or, I mean, a law, or a big law. You know, I think you're gonna learn all that in discovery. And then you can say, well, you mentioned this earlier, we offer this, in case you're interested in it.
That's where you're at. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build a process to where we don't forget. Because as a professional salesperson, I have had numerous experiences. So I'll give you a couple experiences, okay? And these are real life, very, very, hopefully I won't tear up for one of them. But these are real life experiences about my business and what I sell. The worst experience that I've ever had was a client that came in and we offer something called account protection. Do you guys sell that? What that is a fire, theft, flood, loss of life,
Yes.
Loss of employment, okay? It's $1.19 for every $100 that's financed, and every time you spend $100, there's $1.19 off your bill, right? So it's kind of like a amortization of an interest rate, basically. I didn't believe in it. I never wanted to sell this product to anybody. Until a wife came in, and the guy was riding a motorcycle and died literally in front of my Lakeland Christina location, and she had to make payments on that, and she says, you know what, just come and get it, repossess it, I can't pay for the bill anymore. I personally paid the bill for her because it was such a tragic thing. Had I just offered it to her and allowed her to make that decision, I promise you, for $1.19 a month basically, she would have bought it. And I thought I was overselling. So 2 things. I hear what you're saying, and that's the reason why you're an outstanding business owner. And I want you to hear me when I tell you that. Try your best to not shop out of your own pockets. Wealthiest people that I've ever met wear bib overalls, work on a farm every day. And they come into my locations with green cash like crazy, and they don't look like they had anything in the world. And the poorest people that I've ever met dress in Versace and Louis Vuitton every day. And so for me, all I want you to do is if the client has a real true problem, I think it's your fiduciary commitment to them to try to solve that problem as best you can, while keeping with the integrity of your business. The last thing I want to do is if the customer's like, hey, I don't have any lawnmower, all I'm doing is putting, instead of used mattresses in this deal, they don't need a ramp, right? If they have something and I have a client that's sitting in front of me and he or she is not going to ride the lawnmower into the shed and he's 65 years old, I may want to suggest it to them. Because he or she may not know that it exists, right? Ridge cap lights, electric, again, these are things that, for somebody, it may be of immense value based upon what they had before. What I want you to do is I want you to build an unstoppable sales process to where a client's not underserved and they blame you for the bad experience. Let me ask you this question, and I know that I've had this. Have you ever had a customer say, had I known that exists, I would have bought it?
100%.
I stole a customer from the guy next to me that had a fully finished building out because he didn't even walk them in and tell them that they could do electric, and that's all he wanted was electric. And I wouldn't have sold that customer if I didn't tell him we could do electric.
All I'm saying is just to drop a little bit of a hint around the options and the services that you do. And if that doesn't fit in your core values and principles, then I'm not telling you to break that at all.
You gotta bring awareness to it.
Just a little bit, right? And if you don't have a client that needs any of these, do not sell them, because the opposite, to your point, will happen. They'll blame you for being oversold, right? I've never made a bad financial decision in my life. All those salespeople sold me things I shouldn't have bought, right? You know what I mean?
And that's what we don't want to do that.
I agree with it 100%. And I just want to say this to you. In this industry so far, I have met good, honest, hardworking people, and that's the reason why you guys are here today, and that's the reason why I'm here today. I am the same, just like you. We run a family-owned and operated business that existed for over 120 years. And the way we did that is because we have integrity and we treat people the way we want to be treated. We meet their needs, we exceed their needs in things that do not cost a single penny, and we've continued to do it. Now we're rebranding because, unfortunately, and here's a good experience. Our business, 120 years in business. 120 years. Private equity came in, ruined it in 3 years. Why? Overselling clients, overpromising, underdelivering. 120 years, 3 years gone. Insane, right? Keep that core values and principles, exactly what we have in this book right here, and exactly what you guys believe in everything. But make sure you guys offer the items, so that way the client can feel like they were perfectly sold.
I know, like, I don't wanna be oversold.
Yeah.
You know,
100%.
and that's, I guess, but I get, in my mind, I'm over here like, how do you push it? Because if, I'm thinking, okay, let's add a ramp to every building on the lot.
No.
But you can minus it out, but if they see that ramp and they see how nice it is, would you sell more of them, or, you know, I guess,
So here's the deal. So at the last thing, God give us all free will, okay? And so our job as a professional salesperson is to simply present. What I like to do is I like to make the item or the items tangible to a real life experience, to make it relevant. Because sales, to me, to be a sleazy salesperson is to not be relevant, it's to be pushy. A professional salesperson presents the options in the best possible manner around the relevant experience that I did by going through the discovery phase, listening to what he or she is telling me, and relating it back to what I always sell to women, right? Most women make decisions. I don't know about the shed industry, but most women, at least in my industry, make decisions to whatever she wants. If it makes sense for her, it makes sense for him, right? So that's the decision. So whatever she is looking for, whatever solves her needs or his needs in your industry in that case, we're going to make sure that we present those options to where the customer feels satisfied, not oversold. Make sense? And all we're looking for, I believe in my heart that at least 1% of your clients would experience more joy, more value, more fulfillment out of their purchase with you, at least 1%, if these items were presented to them in a meaningful manner. Would you guys agree with that? Yep. All right. Beautiful. So 1%. That's all I'm asking for, bro. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about very, very quickly is referrals and repurchase. Okay? Who does a referral program? I can't see. 1, 2, okay. So, what's your referral program? Curious.
Like $100, or sometimes we'll give something away. Sometimes it might be a little bit more than that. Every month something different.
What is the, like ROAS, right? Return on ad spend, okay? What does it typically cost to attract a new customer?
A new customer in our field?
Yes.
Or like in general, probably?
Your customer, in your field.
Mine's like, well, it's $11.
A buyer?
Yeah. Because I don't do a whole lot of paid advertising.
Okay, so it
But-
costs you $11. And you're giving away $100 for a referral.
Yes.
Okay, I love it. Okay, anybody else has a higher amount to attract a buyer?
Normally it'd be like $100. So
Yeah.
I don't.
My industry, hundreds.
I take
Yeah, I would say at
advantage
least
of.
100 to 100.
Yeah.
For
So-
somebody that's serious that wants to buy that day.
Fair enough. So, who has the highest conversion ratio of any customer that's ever going to walk onto your shed lot?
A referral,
Why?
because they already trust you because their neighbor bought from you. So therefore, you already have the buy-in, they already have the bridge, you don't have to cross.
And sales is a transfer of,
Emotion.
and who's going to transfer that emotion for you?
Customer.
That's-
Your previous customer, and the customer's going to give them certainty, right?
Right.
And guess what? The proof is going to be in the pudding because they're going to see it in the backyard. So, for time's sake, in our industry, we give $50 to every referred customer that merely signs up for a credit card with us. And then we give the signee $100. Why? Because the customer that's being sent in wants something too, and the new customer, immense value, and then they're going to get on the train as well, right? So all I'm saying is, and for time's sake, we're not going to go too crazy on this. If you don't have a referral program, it's very simple. Mr. and Mrs. Customer, what I do at the end of every single sale is I print out 3 coupons. And you can just print it right off. It's got a little QR code on it. It's got a little, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the bottom of it, all this kind of stuff. Basically what it is a referral coupon. And it's got the customer code on it. So I'm sure like you guys probably use like some kind of point of sale system or something to ring up the shed. Do customers have numbers?
No.
Not really? Okay. So what we do is every single customer has a number. We signify that number on that referral sheet. It automatically prints out, and they have 3 of them. If they send any one of those in, they automatically get that referral bonus. It doesn't need to be that in-depth, but I can tell you, You don't even need to pay for it. You can actually get it for free. At the time of delivery, the best possible time to ask for a referral is that day. We talked about this before. I think personally the best time to ask for a review is because customers in a high peak state, super excited, they just signed the contract. You say, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, can you write a review for me? It means so much because I'm here and I just spent an hour and 45 minutes with you picking out your most perfect shed. Just my opinion, every industry is going to be different. That's my industry. Ask for that referral, the customer's easy to do it. The day of delivery, I call every single customer on the day of delivery and I want to get their confirmed satisfaction that they're happy with the purchase, the product, and the service that we supplied them. Why? Because I'm in the customer service business and I'm in the relationship business. Does this make sense? And so if I'm in the relationship business, by getting their confirmed satisfaction, at the end of it, I can tell the customer, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, were you happy with the service? Yes, fantastic. Hey, if anybody asks you about your shed, my name is Rob and here is my referral program. You send them to me and there's something in it for you. Because, my guess, the shed comes on a big truck, right? Is it a big flatbed truck? Does the big flatbed truck have dee as it backs up? Does it make a loud noise? You don't have any safety things on here?
One of them.
Okay. I'm just saying, DOT compliance required. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, I can tell you right now, for us, when we deliver our furniture, we have the loudest buzzer possible on that truck.
She's backing up.
She's backing up. When I have a repo, I have an even louder one because I want everybody to see that stuff get repo. But anyway, that's another side.
Then they want to buy it.
That's right. So, but the reason why I have a loud beep is because what your neighbors do is they go, what's going on out there? Johnny's getting his shed delivered. Johnny's getting furniture delivered. Johnny's got a brand new car getting delivered. Johnny's got a new Harley. Holy crap, man. So that's my personal advertisement. And guess what people do, especially as a spectacle like that? Now I want to talk to the men here for a second, okay? When men are doing men stuff, don't we go out and watch men do men stuff? Like unload a shed? We want to be nosy. I would have did it that way. Hey, you only had 2 straps on that thing. What's wrong with that guy? That's what men do, right? We talk a lot of crap as we point to other men working, right? So
Mowing the yard, for example.
exactly. He just mowed it that morning when he's back out there today. Just pissed off. You know, I'll get out, just watch him drop that shit off. My point is this. If anybody comes out from a delivery person standpoint, they have to have business cards. If they come out to watch the spectacle of the shed being dropped off, why couldn't we hand them a business card?
Why couldn't that delivery guy make $50 per minute?
Now you financially tie them to it. I don't want to shop out of your wallet personally, but think about the implications there. We do a 5 up, 5 down program in certain industries. 5 up, 5 down is birds of a feather flock together. You guys have all heard saying it before. So if birds of a feather flock together, I knew it was going to come. Birds of a feather flock together. If I am delivering to that house, there's a strong possibility, as long as they're in close proximity, that the customer over here and customer over here are probably of the same likeness of that customer. Maybe I should put a little door hanger on there. Maybe they got some junk they want to store too. Or if I'm driving around in a truck just as an additional marketing opportunity and I see a bunch of junk out there in the front yard, throw a little door hanger on there. Some people think that's a little aggressive. I think that's doing business, but that's just my opinion.
So,
Yes, sir.
when we order a building, we have no idea when it's getting delivered.
We'll
Okay.
have to figure out a system on that.
So why couldn't you offer to put a yard sign out at the end of the road?
Love it.
$100 for 30 days, you can have the yard sign.
Absolutely. You think about that's a brilliant idea. So there's a guy, a gentleman, write this name down. His name is Jay Abraham. Okay? Jay Abraham is a marketing genius and he's an absolute nutcase. Okay? So I'm not endorsing the person as an individual, I'm endorsing his ideas. Fair? You guys all heard me say that? That's my disclaimer. Anyway, he talks a lot about how there is industries that if you steal ideas from them that other people aren't doing, you can become the squeaky wheel. So for example, I know that my neighbor got a pressure washing job done. And guess what he did? Pressure washed by Bob, right? He got his paver sealed by Joe. Every time I get my lawn sprayed, what's out there? All pest off control. He puts a sign in there. That's not for the kids to not run on the grass. That's so all the neighbors know I have the greenest grass, right?
Yes.
And so that is little marketing. So same thing. Hey, I'll just put a sign out there. Boom, right? You know those things protected by Brinks Home Security? That's not to stop intruders. That's free advertisement, right? Think about it. And so to that point, think about ways to attract more clients on the way to your client's house. right?
Be a
And-
site check.
What's
Do a
that?
A site check for delivery. You go out to look, leave a sign, boom.
Brilliant. Yeah, hey, I'm dropping, I mean, this is gonna be a little contrived, don't think about me differently, right? But, you know what, hey, I'm doing a site check, I'm gonna drop this sign in here, I just wanna make sure they deliver to the right house. Last thing I wanna do is have the shed delivered to your neighbor's house, because then they're gonna rip you off and steal it from you, right? Drop a sign there, this is the shed. Now you know exactly where that shed's supposed to go, you have massive certainty. You ever deliver a shed to the wrong place?
Not usually.
I don't think we've ever done it. All right, good, because I was gonna call you out, you said, you never make mistakes on delivery, right? Remember that, Mark? So, anyway, that's my point, right? But asking for referrals, let me ask you this, can we just get one referral a month?
Yes.
91%, just one, right? Is that possible? What about going through your Rolodex and just calling customers to see, like, let's say you sold a shed 30, 60, 90, 120, 365 days ago. Wouldn't it be nice if you just checked up on them? Right? Or sit down, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, just want to check on your shed, just want to make sure everything's going well, see if you have any kind of questions, you have any kind of this, kind of that, warranty issues, what have you, we probably want to know about those things. And by the way, if you know anybody that's interested in the shed, we're running a special XYZ. Send in a referral, I'll give you $50. Right? One thing that I've learned about sales is a contact sport. The more people you contact, the more sales you're going to make. Make sense? All right, so, any questions so far? I don't use slides very often. I'm just going to do this.
Like everybody except for Jason.
Huh?
I was,
Oh. All right, so here's what I want to do. Let's go over the results now, okay? So we talked about increasing ups, we talked about increasing closing ratio, transactions, average transaction value, referral repurchase. Now, you don't need to do every single one of these ideas, and guess what? If you're doing some of these ideas already, what I want you to do is go back with your spouse or whoever your business partner is and talk about these ideas amongst yourselves to find out where you can get the 1%, okay? And we all agree, by and large, that these ideas are going to give you a heck of a lot more than just 1%, correct? But let's just assume it is just 1%. If we can increase our ups by 1% for 3 ideas, instead of 65 ups, that's going to bring us to 67 ups, right? If we can go from closing ratio to 20%, only increase it by 3% to 23%, increase our transactions, right, by the same 3%, 13 to, that's not right, 13 to 16, excuse me, cross that out right there. All right, average transaction value going from $6,600, only increasing at $198. So we talked about this one before, right? I mean, realistically, it's half of one of these items. Does this make sense? And then having a referral repurchase rate going from 0 to 1, which would be $6,798 because we increased our average transaction value to that amount. If we go with 0 referrals, so let's just assume that this mark right here, 0 referrals, you would go from $90,000 a month, just using the first 3 ideas, ups, close, and average value transaction, $90,000 to $108,000. That would be 20.85% increase and an annual realized additional income for your business of $225,000. Pretty good. When you add in just 1 referred customer a month, your business goes from the $90,000 to $115,000, which is $306,000 in additional annualized income, 28% increase. And if you get 3 referred customers, you're talking about a 43% increase in sales, or $449,000 in annualized income, almost $500,000. It's pretty insane. When you think about the atomic habits that Mark was talking about before, just a 1% increase, compounded, has geometric results. It's unbelievable. And these are all your ideas, and it's crazy. Yes?
8th wonder of the world.
It is the 8th
Compound
wonder.
interest.
Absolutely. You're right. You're absolutely right. And so for me, even if you never ask for a referral or you never do an upsell opportunity, you're still talking about a 13.5% sales increase. If you never upsell a customer, you never add any value whatsoever, you only concentrate on supplying the absolute best customer experience. And I think we can all agree, can we all go from 65 ups a month to 67? Can we find, what's that, is that 2 more people to hit our shed lot in a month? Is that possible, yes or no?
Yes.
No question, right? But the one thing that we never do is and I wouldn't say never do, but oftentimes as business owners, we get sucked into the business, right? And we very rarely work on the business. So here's my ploy to you guys as we finish this up. For the next 30 days, I want you to concentrate on your business. I want you to focus on areas of improvement and to be massively intentional in 2025 in each one of these areas. I could guarantee you, raise your hand if you would deal with half these results at a 10% sales increase. Of course you would, right? The one thing that I've always been searching for, I mean, you know, I'm kind of like Ponce de Leon. You know who that was? Ponce de Leon, anybody know that was?
Yeah.
Fountain of Youth, right? St. Augustine, Florida is one of my favorite cities in the world. If you ever have an opportunity to go to St. Augustine, it's incredible. The Fountain of Youth is a real thing. I drank from it. I'm actually 100 years old. No, it tasted terrible. It actually tasted better than the water that's back there. But I will say this, the one thing that I've always tried to do is duplicate my time or enhance my time to find a 13th or 14th month. And I can promise you this, if somebody said to you, hey, listen, for the same amount of effort, maybe just a slight bit amount of effort, you can get a 13th month in the year. Somebody offered you that, what would you do? An extra 30 days or an extra 60 days, would you do it?
Oh, yeah.
And so here's what I look at. For just 1% more effort, if I'm doing $90,000 a month, I can gain 2 more months worth of revenue, 2 more months worth of my time for 1% more effort. If I'm extremely intentional about it. So that's my pitch to you guys. I hope you guys find that 2025 is the greatest year that you guys have ever had. And if there's anything I can do for you guys, I'm here for you. I'm here all night, so if I can do anything additional for you guys, if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer questions. But with that, I'll turn it back over to Mark. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Rob. I think that was great content.
Thank you very much.
And I believe I asked around over break and asked everybody how they're enjoying it. Everybody loved it.
So yeah, I'll send you guys all that money in the mail, I promise.
One thing that stood out to me as he was talking, the slide's no longer up, but we all saw that 20%, the 20% close ratio. On these new numbers, we're 25%, the close ratio is, well, 23% is close ratio. So the sayings, we've all heard the saying in the past that the only job that you can be wrong 50% of the time is a meteorologist and still make a living. But something that stood out to me on this in here is sales is the only job that you can fail 77% of the time and still be successful. But what I want to bring out in that 77% is often when we are sitting in our office and rather than being intentional with that customer that comes on the lot, we assume he is one of those 77%. And we have to fail 77 times to get the 33 times that we succeed. And that is what can be disheartening in sales. So let's keep our heads up and concentrate on finding that 33%, because the more we fail, the more successes we will have. So one thing that I'd like to, that came to mind that I didn't cover in the beginning is we are wanting to set up a Teams sales call more frequently. We want to have it on a certain day at a certain time. I want some feedback. Would you rather have it every other week, once a month, every week? What do y'all, we don't want to make it overcomplicated to where it's like, oh, there's another meeting. But we also don't want it spread out so far that we can't remember that time.
I think, depending on the time of the meeting, like how the duration of it, if you did it once a week and did shorter versions of it, so everybody's still on the same page and updated throughout the week, or a little bit longer, do it every other week. I think going once a month is a little too far out, just so
Okay.
everybody can also.
What's some other thoughts?
I'd say every other week.
Every other week? How long? What's too long if we do it every other week? 30 minutes?
Yeah, I'd say 30.
30.
So if it's 30 and if it's 15 or 20, great. If it's 30, great.
Yeah. We just don't want
Yeah,
something that we
too
have
much.
a long, drawn-out process that we don't have content for, we're just blowing time.
It's not
That's the
even
last
really
thing,
right.
last thing we want to do is blow time. So, I would, why don't we start with, let's try it every other week for 30 minutes. And the first one will be set for October 31st.
That's scary.
What time?
And that October 31st is on a Thursday, and we will do it at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Will that work for you all? Is that a good time?
Yeah, what software are you using?
Oh, we'll be using Teams.
Teams, okay, just so I have it set this time.
At what time?
1 o'clock. And I will send you an invite on that. Something else that I was going to do, but I think that's all I have this time. I think Philip left the room. I would ask him for any input. Is anybody else has any questions?
Thanks for the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate your time. Honestly, it makes it better when you get a lot of participation, so I've done this.
You forced us.
This meeting, I've done it, like, this is probably the smallest group, so typical group's like 500 people.
Oh, wow.
And so, like, you get a couple of people, 500 people. We've done it in front of 2,000 before, which is crazy. Then you get like music, crazy stuff like that. But like, we had great participation at the Shed Expo. I want to say two things real quick. Number one, really three things. Number one, a lot of companies, a lot of successful companies right now, and I consider you guys a very successful company. Hearing about how you guys are beating average, they're resting on their laurels, and the fact that you guys have a group like this coming together in a meeting like this, and business owners that are like-minded like you, that seem like you guys all get along and there's some camaraderie here, is a very, very rare and very, very special thing. So you guys are really blessed in that regard. The last thing I'll say is this. I'm a big goal person. I think we were talking about no more goals, right? I want to say something to you that is one of my favorite quotes. You can have the most beautiful vessel in the world, but if the captain doesn't know where it's going, the vessel's useless. And so for me in life, I always attach myself to some type of a goal. And whatever's measured improves. Whatever's more measured more often improves more often. And so the sales meetings, I love the idea of having more meetings more often with super short timelines, to where it's kind of like a I'm out of there kind of deal. Because as you're measuring things, things just have a tendency of getting better. And I think that your guys' commitment to the cause and your commitment and your heart for your customer tells me that you guys are ahead of a lot of people. And so I just want to commend you guys on that from my heart. I really do appreciate you guys, being that type of business owner, because I've done this in front of a lot of people and it's all about the green, and I don't really like those meetings. And so ultimately I just want to thank you guys for that. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
One thing about goals, I wasn't sure how much of this I was going to be doing here for this first meeting, but we do have a goal of in 2026, our 3-year picture is to be at 1,319 buildings to customers served that year.
How many?
2026, we want to serve 1,319 customers.
Where are we at right now?
For today, at this morning, we were at 842 for this year.
And you say by that, you mean January 1st, 2026?
No, I'm
Or
saying
end of the year?
that is for the year total, January
the
through
year.
December of 2026.
You want
That-
This year,
you want
we were go,
13,000
this,
customers?
no,
That year?
1,319 customers that year.
Here.
Actually, that bought sheds.
Per dealer.
Yeah.
Why stop there? Let's go predict it.
I'm selling that guy a shed before we leave, so that's one.
I already bought one.
And, our goal for this year is 1,000. So we have 158 to go yet. So I think
We're on
we'll
track.
definitely should close it for this year. So I don't think that'll be a problem. We should put it on right on track.
The year before you guys took over, what was their average?
We don't have those metrics in concrete. We have
Yes.
relatives.
Probably around 600, 650.
Okay.
Just guessing.
So 650 and we're at
1,000.
1,000.
So that 1,000, that's huge.
I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Is that
exceptional.
like 30%?
Yep.
Yeah. probably close to
And
40.
just for a long-term picture, or 10-year picture, in the year 2034, our goal is to serve 4,000 customers that year,
What year?
2034.
2034.
You might have one for the grave, but then.
Maybe.
If the industry doesn't kill us for
So much for goals, sorry, Whitney.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead.
I set my own goals every month and I meet them, but when you said it, you jinxed me.
Just ignore the emails.
Yeah.
Ignore it. No.
Silence, Marcy.
But with that, I think it's great to have numbers to go for, but we need to have measurable success and measurable
Realistic.
things that we do up to then. If we're only concentrating on our goals, we are giving us the perception that we can only be happy once we reach the goal. If we set things in motion and set habits to create those goals, we can then be happy along the way because we are doing those things that will reach the goal eventually.
So your success is determined by your habits.
Yep.
I think we should put this on a poster for our showroom where customers sit and they can read our core
Yeah.
values. That's what we did in my previous business, and I can tell you so many people that sat there and would read that, just sitting there while you're talking to them,
Yeah.
and they would mention it, and I think that it meant a lot to the customer, and it made them feel more at well.
Yeah.
You know.
I couldn't agree more.
That's a good idea. Okay, well, you're all dismissed. Thanks a lot for your
Thank you.
participation. Really-
Thank you guys
really
so
enjoyed
much.
it.
You guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming, Nathan.
Oh, man, thanks.
Nice seeing you.